لهم أجرا كبيرا وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما ويدعو الإنسان بالشر دعاءه بالخير وكان الإنسان عجولا وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين فمحونا آية الليل وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة لتبتغوا فضلا من ربكم ولتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب وكل شيء فصلناه تفصيلا وكل إنسان ألزمناه طائره في عنقه ونخرج له يوم القيامة كتابا يلقاه منشورا اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا من اهتدى فإنما يهتدي لنفسه ومن ضل فإنما يضل عليها ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى وما كنا معذبين حتى نبعث رسولا صدق الله العظيم. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you Azari Rahman. Wish everyone who listen have blessed and grace from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Before we start the main event, let's together sing Indonesian National Anthem and march Ahmad Dahlan University.
In
Okay, after our national anthem Indonesia Raya and Mars Ahmad Dahlan University, we have a little time with our two professors in Ahmad Dahlan University. Would you please welcome Profesor Dr. Apoteker Dia Aryani Perwitasari, SSc, M.Sc, Ph.D, and Profesor Nur Hasana, SSc, M.Sc, Ph.D. First, we are going to meet with Profesor Dr. Apoteker Dia Aryani Perwitasari, SSc, M.Sc, Ph.D. Mrs. Dia, good morning.
Good morning, Mbak Kanindya. How are you?
Okay, I'm fine. Thank you. Mrs. Dia, would you please give us a few words to all of us as the Dean of Faculty of Pharmacy, Ahmad Dahlan University?
Okay, thank you very much for the time and the opportunity. Good morning, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The Honorable, the speakers of this international webinar with the topics of the challenges and opportunities of continuing education for young pharmacists. As I know, the first speaker is Dr. Arshdeep Singh, M.Pharm. Welcome to the Faculty of Pharmacy. The second speaker will be Ms. Junie Colley, Master of Science. And then the third speaker will be Apoteker Ben Laurence, the Director of International Pharmaceutical Federation from the VIP. Welcome as well in the Faculty of Pharmacy UAT. And then the last speaker is our Vice of Dean, Dr. Apoteker Hari Susanti, with which she will talk about the spirit of the young pharmacist. So once again, welcome to the Faculty of Pharmacy UAT, and also thank you very much for your time and the opportunity that you already give to us to speak, to open our perspective about the continuing education, especially for the young pharmacists. And then the second one, I'm going to thanks to the committee, especially here, Ms. Winda, and also other committee, and then also the lecturers who already assist the committee, the young committee, for held this international webinar. This international webinar actually is a collaboration between the Faculty of Pharmacy UAT with the Association of Alumni in the University Ahmad Dahlan, and also the Association of the Pharmacy Seminat. So once again, thank you for this very nice and amazing collaboration. Then you can have more than 900 participants, I think, for this international seminar. And then finally, enjoy the seminar, and I hope for the participant can have a new link and new relationship for the new collaboration with other participants to do the continuing education, especially for the young pharmacists. I hope this collaboration seminar will be will be always available for the third and the fourth and then the fifth, etc. And we can always have a good collaboration for the next future. I think that's all my welcome speech. And once again, congratulations for this event, and also thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for sharing with us, Professor Dia. Next, we will going to meet with Professor Nur Hasana, SSc, M.Sc, Ph.D. Mrs. Nur Hasana would give us a few words too as biggest counselor in Kamada Faculty of Pharmacy, Ahmad Dahlan University. But because of another schedule from Professor Nur Hasana, that more be important to be attend, I will read messages that Professor Nur Hasana left for us. Professor Nur Hasana said, "Never stop learning. Knowledge will lead you to success." Enjoy the webinar, The Challenges and Opportunities of Continuing Education for Young Pharmacists in March 12, 2022. Wow, small message that have a big impact for all of us, inshallah. Finally, we are going to meet our first speaker, but before that, I will present it all of you curriculum vitae from our first moderator for today. Okay, while we wait for the curriculum vitae. First moderator of today is Mr. Lalu Muhammad Irham, M.Pharm Ph.D. Okay, I will read Mr. Lalu curriculum vitae.
But can India, your mic is still mute.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry. Apoteker Lalu Muhammad Irham, M.Pharm Ph.D. Sorry, but I think I have a miss in my connection, so I'm sorry for all of you that I couldn't. Okay, Apoteker Lalu Muhammad Irham, M.Pharm Ph.D. Living address in Indonesia, and as you can see in the screen, his Google Scholar ID, Scopus ID, and Sinta ID. Education PhD program in Pharmacogenomic and Pharmacology Taiwan with GPA 4.0. Master of Pharmacy, Postgraduate Program 7. Professional Program of Clinical Pharmacy, University of Ahmad Dahlan Yogyakarta with GPA 3.69. Bachelor of Pharmacy, Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Ahmad Dahlan Yogyakarta with GPA 3.27. Mr. Lalu has a lot of research experience and scientific publication from 2016 until 2021. And he has a lot journal editorial board and presentation, work experience, and seminar attendance from 2017 until now. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Lalu.
Halo, Assalamualaikum. Good morning, Mbak India.
Okay. Waalaikumsalam. We can see the audience is amazingly show off their enthusiastic in their beauty Saturday. Are you ready to take over the audiences, Mr. Lalu?
Yes, okay, Mbak India.
Okay, Mr. Lalu, time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Mbak India, for kind introductions. Okay, firstly, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Allah for giving us the health and opportunity to attend our event this morning. So secondly, we send salawat and our salutation to our Prophet Muhammad SAW for his guiding from the darkness to the lightness. The Honorable Dean of Faculty of Pharmacy of University of Ahmad Dahlan, Professor Dr. Apoteker D. Haryani Perwita Sari Magister Science, Ph.D. The Honorable Vice Dean of the Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Ahmad Dahlan, Dr. Apoteker Hari Susanti. The Honorable as well head of the doctoral programs in the Faculty of Pharmacy, of University of Ahmad Dahlan, Professor Dr. Nur Hasanah, Magister Science, and the Honorable Head of the Seminat as Alumni Associations of the Faculty of Pharmacy, Apotheker Winda, Magister of Pharmacy, and the Honorable as well as our guest speakers for these first sessions, Dr. Arshdeep Singh, Magister of Pharmacy, Ph.D. He is from the scientists in Formosa Laboratories in Taiwan. And the Honorable, our second speaker as well, Ms. Junie, Colley, Magister of Science. She is from the Treehouse Academy English. Last but not least, I would also like to thank all the participants for attending this webinar. Before we start, I would like to inform you that these events will be divided into 3 sessions actually. While for the first sessions will be delivered by 2 our guest speakers. Is going to be with Dr. Arshdeep Singh, M.Pharm, Ph.D. He is, as I aforementioned it, that he is from the Formosa Laboratories Incorporation. But before we are going to start, I think we can greeting Dr. Arshdeep. Hello, Dr. Arshdeep. Are you there?
Yeah, hello, Dr. Lalu. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning too. So you are now in Taiwan,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, currently residing in Taiwan.
Okay. So you cannot you can open your camera, right? Because due to the
Okay.
It's fine. It's no problem.
Host disabled participant screen sharing. The host has disabled the participant screen sharing. So could you please ask the host to allow me to share my slide?
Okay. The committee will know you.
Yeah, they have disabled the participant screen sharing.
Oh, okay. Just wait few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. But before
yeah, got it.
Start, okay, before we're going to start, I would like to share, or I would like to share screens related with your TV. But India, can you see my share screen, right?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, this is the short profiles of our first speaker. His full name is Arshdeep Singh, M.Pharmacy, Ph.D. His education is from the bachelor and also the master. He obtained it from the departments of the pharmaceutical science, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, Punjab, India. And he finished his PhD programs from the Taipei Medical University in the medicinal chemistry in School of Pharmacy. Currently, he's working as a scientist under high-level industrial professional cultivations programs under the program of the MOSD, Ministry of Science and Technology. One of the MOSD is very prestigious programs, right? And then
yes,
research
yes,
topic is synthetic methodology developments and retrospective synthetic approach for the scientists for the synthesis of the small molecules as enzyme inhibitors. So I know you, Dr. Ars, you are the educators, right? So you switch after you graduated from the PhD, you switch your work into the industry. I think you can share to us later on what's going on. So what is the challenges in the between the educations between the academic and also industry? So I think we have around almost 1,000 of the participants will hearing your experience and your share to every single of us. Okay, thank you, Dr. Ars, for your times, and you have around 30 minutes to deliver speech, and after that we have around 15 minutes for Q&A sessions. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Lalu, for your invitation. So let's begin with the presentation. So good morning, everyone. As Dr. Lalu introduced me, my name is Arshdeep Singh and I hail from India. And currently, I am working in Formosa Laboratories Incorporation on the position of scientist. And this is the first time I have been working in a pharmaceutical industry. Earlier, my experience is only in academics institute. So let us begin with this presentation. I hope you will gain some knowledge from this. So the topic of the presentation will be various perspectives of medicinal chemistry in drug discovery, wherein I will discuss different examples related to medicinal chemistry, that how we can design and discover different drugs in the industry as well as in academics field. I hope this would be helpful to all the students who are enthusiastic to learn medicinal chemistry and are willing to join this field. So before starting with medicinal chemistry, I would like to say that Farmasi consists of 4 major pillars. The first is pharmaceutics, which we all are aware about. That is the formulation, either capsule, tablets, syrups, everything included in it. Second is the pharmacognosy, that deals with the plants. Third is the pharmacology, that deals with the biology of the drugs as well as how the drug acts inside the body. And the fourth is the final and the last one is medicinal chemistry, which consists of the synthesis of different molecules that are biologically active and produce various therapeutic effects inside the body. So coming to the definition of chemistry, medicinal chemistry encompasses the design and synthesis of novel bioactive molecules that have the potential to become drugs, and further they are developed for the market value. So it typically involves the cycles of iterative optimization of compounds to enhance their efficacy, safety, and pharmacokinetic characteristics, leading to the selection of candidate drug that ultimately will need to be manufactured on large scale and will be ready to be sold in the markets. So the branch involves 3 major aspects. First is the synthesis, then improving the structure by checking out their structure-activity relationships, where we figure out how the functional groups are interacting with their receptor targets. So the fourth one is the receptor interactions, wherein we check the absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion of the drug. So coming to the history of medicinal chemistry, as you can see in this slide, in 2000 BC, Materia Medica, a novel, stated that 250 vegetable drugs were available, while 120 mineral drugs. And in 1500 BC, Egyptian novel, that is Papyrus Ebers, stated that 700 drugs originated from animals, plants, and minerals. And Emperor Frederick II issued the Magna Carta of Pharmacy, which was called the Pharmacopoeia at that time, in 1214 year. And the next was the synthesis of urea in 1828, started the organic medicinal chemistry. Here it commenced the introduction of medicinal chemistry. So I would also like to introduce, like in 1853, a scientist named Henry, he tried to modify morphine and he heated the morphine with iodine, but he got a salt of morphine. And in 1857, salicylic acid was introduced, and in 1899, the aspirin was introduced as antipyretic agent with very few side effects. So medicinal chemistry ultimately received formal recognition in academic pharmacy in 1932. Also, in 1920s was the major evolution of medicinal chemistry, as anesthetics, hypnotics, and analgesics were found in this year. Further, in 1940, the first anti-cancer drug, nitrogen mustard, was discovered. Coming to the next slide, the transformation of medicinal chemistry, why we also call this the evolution of medicinal chemistry in history. So the role of medicinal chemistry has changed significantly in the past 25 years. In the early era, like last 50 years of the drug discovery, the medicinal chemists rely primarily on the data on in vivo testing. But in the recent years, the technology has changed vastly, and the development of new technologies such as HTE, biocatalysis, and direct evaluation. HTE is high throughput in vitro screening, and large compound library synthesis technique, that is combinatorial technology, and molecular targets and structure-based drug design has changed that earlier and relatively simple landscape in the present time. Although these new technologies present many opportunities to the medicinal chemists, but the multitude of new safety requirements that have arisen has also brought unanticipated hurdles for the task of translating in vitro activity to in vivo activity. Here are some of the phases of drug discovery. Like firstly, the drug discovery begins with the identification of a medical need, including a judgment on the adequacy of existing therapies. So the next part is the analysis together with an appraisal of current knowledge about the target disease will come on hypothesis how possibly we can improve the therapy and what is the efficacy and safety of the old drugs, as well as what things can be improved in the development of new drugs. On the basis of these hypotheses, specific objectives will be set for the project. Then testing by selected chemicals in appropriate biological tests can begin, and key subsequent steps in the process includes detecting a relative biologically active molecule which can be used for further testing in animals, that is in vitro testing. After successfully passing the in vitro testing of the compounds, it can be formulated and stability tests can run on it in animals, as well as chronic safety in animals. So the company then undergoes toxicologically testing in animals as required by the law of different nations. If the compound passes all the tests, all the accumulated research can be assembled and submitted, and investigational new drug application can be generated to the Food and Drug Administration, that is FDA in USA, before clinical trials. And finally, the drug can undergo clinical trials, and after a few years, it can be marketed. But this costs a lot of money and a lot of time to develop a new drug. So the slide explains the various functions of drug discovery. Firstly, as you can see, the selection of the target, then the novelty. Of course, the drug must be novel. It should be new and with fewer side effects and high potency, and the availability of the material to synthesize the drug, as well as the validation of the method. The method should be reproducible. It is not like that the drug is producing one time some other effect and the other time some other effect. So it should be validated. So target selection is another important criteria, which I will discuss in the coming slides. So select the test for the drug which you are going to synthesize, then the lead identification, the best of the bestest drug candidate. Then you have to optimize the screening of the drug. Then toxicity test, the drug should be less toxic to the host. Then drug development phase, as I already explained in the previous slides, in vitro testing, then moving to the clinical trials, filing the FDA, then scale up and launch in the market. So the target selectivity is an important aspect of any drug molecule, and certainly a parameter is need to be optimized. That is not a trivial for a number of reasons. First of all, hundreds of drug targets like receptors, enzymes, ion channels exist, and no single lab in the world has assay for all of them. So medicinal chemists should be very particular about the selection of the target against which you want to design or synthesize a drug. Target validation is very important in drug discovery, because before designing the drug, firstly, we select some valid target, like for anti-cancer drug or anti-inflammatory, whatever you want. So there are different pharmacological pathways that I will not explain here. That will become very vast. So based on that, you see the relevant disease and design an experiment model for that. Then non-molecular target, whether it is a gene, it is protein in form of enzyme or any receptor. So you benchmark some compound sets and test it against various non-molecular targets. Then you find the lead, that which compound shows the best activity. Then again, you start modifying that compound, and then you recognize what is the main pharmacophore which is responsible for the activity of the drug. So I would also like to introduce the important role of drugs in human society. It has obviously, without any doubt, improved the quality of life and life expectancy. So we have found various bacterial and antiviral agents. So the human race is now safe. But here I would like to mention that we have found no cure till now for coronavirus, but hopefully all the scientists from around the globe, they are working on it, and we will find the cure very soon. So also the drugs have increased the life expectancy resulting from drug therapy has led to a shift in population demographics toward a more healthy and elderly population. And drug regimens for birth control have improved individual life choices and the quality of the life, as well as in earlier time, there was no treatment available for the HIV virus, but now we have also found treatment for this virus. So the major evil that is affecting our society is cancer. So luckily and fortunately, most of the scientists have discovered many drugs that can be used as anti-cancer agent. So what about targeting a disease in a pharmaceutical industry means? So the priority of the pharmaceutical industry, as it is a non-profit organization, it is not academics, it is not giving you any knowledge. The pharmaceutical industry is just utilizing the knowledge of a medicinal chemist to make profit. I must say their main motive is to make profit, and also in some or the other way, they are serving the society by making new drugs or doing research or anything, but the major purpose is the business. So there are some questions that need to be addressed while working in a pharmaceutical industry. While you are doing research, you want to found a new. Is the disease widespread? Yes, this is the main cause. If you synthesize a medicine for a disease which is not common, then there will be no profit to the pharmaceutical industry. As you can see in the recent days, many pharmaceutical industries, they shifted their target to manufacture the mask as well as the medicines for the and I must say they have also synthesized sanitizers. So they have made a huge profit in these times. So as I already said, pharmaceutical industry is a profit non-profit institute. So they only focus on their profits. And also, does the disease affect the first world? Example, in the ancient times, cardiovascular disease and ulcers, but now the focus is only on coronavirus. Are these drugs already on the market? So what are the advantages and disadvantages? Example, side effects. What we used to do in the industry, what I used to do, they always ask me to design new molecules with better efficacy, better pharmacokinetic profile, lower side effects, and high therapeutic value, so as to attract the new clients as well as the launching of the drug in the market. So can one identify a market advantage for a new therapy? Yes, this is also an important aspect. In an industry, you have only to consider the advantage for the industry. And you have to work very precisely for the designing and synthesis of the drug. As you can see, I have mentioned here, choosing which disease to tackle is a matter for a company's market strategies. Yes, company is a profit institute, so you have to design the drug accordingly, not like academics. In academics, we synthesize the drug just for the publication or patent, but in industry, you synthesize the drug to sell it to market to make some profit to the industry. So what are the various drug targets that can be considered while designing a bioactive molecule, or you can say a drug? So the various targets are proteins, in which receptors, enzyme inhibitors, transporters, or ion channels are included, and the lipids, that is the lipid cell membranes, example polyenes, antifungals, and nucleic acids, example alkylating agents, which can be used as anti-cancer drug, and carbohydrates, that is cell surface carbohydrates. So there are total known targets 480, out of which 45% are receptors, and enzymes are only 28%. It is noticeable here that drug targets are most often proteins, but nucleic acids may also be attractive targets for some diseases. I would also like to add, there are not only 48 known targets, there are millions of targets about which no one is aware till yet, because we have only explored only 1 to 2% of the human body. So various mysteries are still hidden inside the human body, which needs to be further investigated so as to find better cures for the society. So coming to the target selectivity, it is between the species which we call chemotherapy, like antibacterial agents, antiviral agents. Some people may have a misconception that the word chemotherapy only represents the treatment against cancer, but it is not like that. All the drugs that are that have selectivity against some targets, such as antibacterial or antiviral agents, the treatment is also called chemotherapy. It is not used only for the cancer treatment. So identify the target which are unique to invading pathogen, or identify the target which are shared but which are significantly different in structure. So within the body, we found the selectivity between different enzymes as well as receptors, and selectivity between receptor types and subtypes, and selectivity between isozymes, as well as the organ selectivity. For example, I always used to say this: if you want to synthesize a drug against lung cancer, so you have to synthesize drug accordingly, which should be selectively active only in lungs, but not in any other portion. That is what a major problem we are facing these days with anti-cancer drugs. They are very non-selective in their action. So they also affect other cells and create a lot of cytotoxicity in the body. So the next target after the designing of the drug is the establishing the test procedures, that which test you want to do on the drug after its synthesis, both the in vivo test as the in vitro test. So firstly, you identify the lead compounds and do the drug optimization, like which drug is the better, and you standardize a screening or assaying method for the drug. But this portion belongs to pharmacologists or some biologists. This is not a part of medicinal chemist, although the medicinal chemistry is not complete without pharmacology and biology, because even if you synthesize thousands of compounds at once, if there are no biologists or pharmacologists, your drugs cannot be evaluated against any of the targets. So it's of no use. They are just nothing. Finding a lead compound, firstly, we should know what is a lead compound. A lead compound is a compound from a series of related compounds that has some desired biological activity. So based on the lead compound, we again modify its structure to find a new compound. This molecule can be characterized and modified to produce another molecule with a better profile of wanted properties to unwanted side effects, as I'm saying it again and again, but medicinal chemistry is based on this thing: reduce the side effects, increase the efficacy. And the level of the activity and target selectivity are not that crucial in the early stages, but later on, you have to find a drug which should have a prominent selectivity against some specific targets. So as I am saying, it is used as the starting point for drug design and development. A lead compound is a first foothold on the drug discovery ladder, because based on the lead compound, you again do designing and design a different series from the previous pro series. So it takes much more effort to make a lead compound in a drug candidate. Yes, that's very true, because firstly you design a series of molecules, then you send it for testing to biologists or pharmacologists. So they test it, then you identify a single compound which is active, and you again do modification, again start synthesizing compounds, identifying it. It's quite a long process and hectic also. So what are the sources of lead compounds? There are majorly three sources of lead compounds: the natural world, that is from plants or animals, or from marine chemistry, biochemicals, anywhere you can find it. So next is the synthetic world. We are either design a molecule and synthesize it starting from a new chemical, as well as semi-synthetic world, which I haven't mentioned here because it is a part of synthetic methodology. The semi-synthetic, as you can say, some molecule you derive from a natural source and you modify it using various chemical reactions. And the third is the virtual world, which we are using these days, that is computer-aided drug designing. People often do PhDs in computer-aided drug designing or molecular modeling studies. So the computer-aided drug designing, I would like to give a small introduction on this. There are three kinds of computer-aided drug designing that are being used these days. The first is the structure-based virtual designing, molecular docking, and molecular dynamic simulation. These are some of the common methods that include the structure-based virtual screening, molecular docking, and molecular dynamic simulations. These methods find numerous applications such as assessment of binding energetics, protein ligand interactions, and conformational changes in the receptor upon binding with the ligand. Being used by many pharmaceutical industries and medicinal chemists in these days, these computational techniques has greatly helped in the discovery of several drugs that are already available in the market. The biggest example we have is aprenavir, which is a potential inhibitor of human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV. So after the identification of lead compounds, the first criteria is to isolate and purify that compound. So there are various methods to do it: solvent extraction, chromatographic techniques to identify it, crystallization, which is based on the solubility, and distillation process. And then the structure determination by the spectroscopic methods such as NMR, proton NMR, C13 NMR, or 2D or 3D NMR. So it's a very vast field, and identifying it by confirming its mass, or elemental analysis, like which elements are present in the molecule. These we usually perform when we found a new compound and we don't know the structure of that compound, and the IR to identify the functional groups in the molecule, as well as UV for the absorbance. So the lead compounds for natural origin consist of thousands of extracts. If anybody has working on natural chemistry, then we perform the biological test on these 1,000 extracts. Also, I would like to mention the work on natural chemistry is the most difficult ones, and it keeps you very busy because you have to make a lot of extracts from either the roots, leaves, stems of any plants. So when you do the biological test, the results are either negative, so you reject the sample, or positive, you purify the sample and try to establish the structure using the techniques that I already mentioned in the previous slide to identify your compound and validate that, yes, this is the active moiety, so that you can, in future, you can do either the total synthesis of the compound, or you can do various modifications, semi-synthetic methodology you can employ on the natural extract. So that's the basic principle. So a compound that is isolated from a natural extract and which is principally responsible for the extract's pharmacological activity is often used as lead compound. As I already said, you can modify it in near future if you find some new compounds from plant origin. So these are some of the examples of the compounds that are already in use, but they are obtained from plant extracts, such as opium. From opium, we have extracted morphine, and cinchona bark, we obtain quinine, which is used against malaria, and yew tree taxols, which are anti-cancer agents and are highly used in US for the treatment of various cancers. So some of the limitations of natural product screening are the isolation of active material is done in very small amount, as the natural compounds are available in small portions in plants. So if you think that you will get a huge amount of compound from some natural source, that is not possible. And the mixtures are often very complex and contains many large macromolecules, so which can often hide biological activity, and it is very difficult to separate this mixture, as there is no specific isolation technique, but most of the time scientists employ preparative TLCs to separate the compounds, or some column silica based chromatography, so as to separate these complexes. So the compound isolation and structure determination is very tedious process. So structure of the natural compounds are the most complex and are therefore difficult to synthesize and identify the pharmacophore. So some compounds are endogenous from natural resources, such as adrenaline, which is present in human body. So these scientists already modified adrenaline to salbutamol, which acts as agonist at beta-2 adrenergic receptor used for asthma. As well as another example is 5-hydroxytryptamine, which is a serotonin natural agonist. The modification of it has given sumatriptan, which is 5-HT, and it is a serotonin agonist used for migraine or headache. The various other examples of endogenous compounds, as you can see, adrenaline also modified to propranolol, which is used as antihypertensive agent, beta adrenergic antagonist, as well as histamine, and modification of histamine has given cimetidine, which is an H2 antagonist and is used as anti-allergic agent. This is the beauty of the medicinal chemistry. As you can see, the structure of teprotide, and teprotide is obtained from a pit viper, and it is a nonapeptide molecule. It consists of 9 peptide molecules, and it is obtained from the snake named Bothrops jararka. And this chemical is a poison found in snake, but its effect was found as ACE inhibitor. So the scientists thought it could be utilized as antihypertensive agent, but it was known that there was a positively charged arginine residue in the active site in addition to positively charged zinc ion, and enzyme and affinity for the different residues in the receptor site of ACE receptor. So scientists tried to modify this big molecule to a smaller one and found captopril. As I still remember, one of my professors used to say, break and make in chemistry. So they break this big molecule to a smaller one, which is a proline derivative, 3-mercapto, 2-methyl propanolyl L-proline. So the drug is highly effective agent and does not have any side effects and is used as antihypertensive. So further modification of captopril leads to the identification of 2 new drugs, that is lisinopril as well as enalapril, which showed even better activity than the captopril. As you can see, the evolution of medicinal chemistry, even a medicinal chemist can turn a poison in an active biological molecule. So I would also like to introduce some of the common chemical reactions that we utilize in medicinal chemistry, in daily medicinal chemistry, I would say. So the most common reaction is amide formation. As you can see, it has covered the major portion in medicinal chemistry. So the other reaction is organometallic reaction, that is Suzuki-Maru reaction. And the simple reaction is aromatic nucleophilic substitution. electrophilic reaction of amines, as well as amine walk protection and deprotection, which is majorly used in most of the synthetic schemes while synthesizing a new drug entity. So the all medicinal chemistry revolves around these reactions majorly, although there are many other reactions, but these reactions are the most important ones. So another topic that I would like to discuss is the rational drug design. Rational drug design actually refers to the designing of drug molecules that bind to a target, for example, protein or nucleic acids. It relies on your prior knowledge of the structure, function, and mechanism of the target, thereby avoiding random testing of thousands of molecules. Rational drug design has a major advantage, that is, we don't need to synthesize a large number of compounds. You just design molecule based on your knowledge, on your previous knowledge of different molecules, as well as the targets that are already, whose structures are already known in the data or in the literature review. So designing is based on that. After designing, you start synthesizing a small series of molecules which will be tested and then lead to identification of the lead compound. So another topic is de novo designing. De novo designing refers to the design of a novel chemical entities that fit a set of constraints using computational growth algorithms. The word de novo is actually derived from the word de beginning, which indicates that this method can generate novel molecular entities without targeting a template. De novo designing has proven a powerful methodology for understanding the protein folding, function, and for mimicking or even bettering the properties of natural proteins. The de novo designing is the best method to save the time, as you design the molecule based on the known structure of the protein against which you want to design a new drug entity. You use your computer, you use a software. There are different softwares available in the market, but they are quite expensive, I must say, but most of the industries afford it. So in order to avoid the expenditure, unwanted expenditure on the synthesis of a number of series, you firstly try to fit your designed molecule in the structure of the protein or receptor. Then the molecule which fits better in the cavity of the receptor or the enzyme which you want to inhibit, you start synthesizing that compound, and you synthesize a very small series, like it consists of 5 or 6 compounds. Then you evaluate it, you find the lead identity, then you move to the next step, modifying the series of the molecule. One of the best example that I already discussed in the previous slides of the de novo designing is Relanza, which is a neuraminidase inhibitor. This molecule is involved in the influenza virus cycle, and a screen of inhibitors of neuraminidase came up with a hit which was developed into a lead compound. Like I already said, they tried to fit different molecules in the cavity of the receptor, that is neuraminidase. So they try to fit they design different molecules virtually in their computers using different softwares, and they try to fit that molecule inside the cavity of this protein, and they identify the structure of the protein by X-ray crystal structure of the virus enzyme, which is known as computational study. So it allowed the docking of the lead structure in the active site of the enzyme. So this study is directing optimization of the inhibitor structure through the determination of the intermolecular forces and enzymes. And the final step in this technique is the molecular modeling studies of the compound inside the cavity of the protein. As you can see, this is the structure of Relanza, and when they explored the molecular modeling study, they found that the guanidine group was mainly interacting with the active amino acids of the proteins, that is glutamic acid 227, glutamic acid 119, as well as tryptophan 178 and aspartic acid 151. So after you design by various methods, you found the lead identification. Then the next part is the establishment of the structure activity relationship, as well as identification of pharmacophore. So you find which functional groups are important for binding or activity of the lead compound. Then you can alter, remove, or mask a functional group that are not required, or some functional groups produce some cytotoxic or side effects. So you can replace or remove that functional groups and then test the analog for activity. So in conclusion, it depends on the method of testing, like in vitro, test for binding interactions with the target, or in vivo, test for target binding interactions or pharmacokinetic properties, which plays an important role in the activity of the drug. So a lead compound has already defined a compound from a series of related compounds. The question becomes here that what are the essential structural elements required for a biological activity? This question defines the definition of pharmacophore. So coming to the optimization of binding interactions, which is ultimately related to the structure activity relationship, I will discuss various examples here to make it clear that how structure activity relationship plays an important role in modifying or increasing the activity of the compound and decreasing the side effects. So, introduction of alkyl groups. As you can see in a general example, let us consider this block as the cavity, hydrophobic cavity in a receptor, and the lead compound with only one methyl group is not able to interact properly with this cavity. That means the interaction between lead compound and the receptor is not good, and it will lead to an unorganized or unstable complex between the lead compound and this receptor. Hence, the activity of the compound will not be better. So we do modification to the lead compound to find a new series which could be more active or less active. It depends on the biological activity when you test it against different targets. As I increase the side chain, I increase the number of alkyl groups, there are more interaction between the receptor as well as the new analog. Hence, the activity might be better than the previous one. So another example that I would like to discuss is improving the selectivity. As you vary the chain length of your molecule, the interaction could be better. As you can see in case of receptor 1, the chain length is small, so the molecule fits in the cavity. But if you increase the chain length, sometimes the space is not enough in the receptor or protein or your target molecule. So there is a steric block because of the other alkyl groups or some functional groups. So you remove that so that it fits better in the cavity to show its activity. Also, the introduction of different functional groups. As you can see, there is an unused binding region shown in this block, which is considered as a receptor. The drug is not interacting with this region, so it might show less activity. Then we introduce some functional group using various technologies, which can show interaction with the unoccupied position in the receptor so that drug shows better activity. Also, the introduction of aryl groups can be done so as to occupy the whole pocket in the receptor. So linker chain extension, as we already seen in the previous slide, if the linker chain extension is too long, there will be a weak interaction, and if it is too short, there could be a weak interaction too. But chain extension can lead to a strong interaction, and a better activity can be expected from the drug. So structure simplification is also a technique which is mostly imposed on natural drugs, as the structures of the natural drugs are very complex. So we try to make it simple so that it can be synthesized easily and in a very less fraction of time, so that we can get some profit as well as can contribute something for the betterment of the society. As everyone is hurried these days, busy in everybody's life. So we try to simplify the things. It is a similar principle here. So these strategies for structural simplification, as you can see the example of morphine, the removal of hydroxyl moiety from morphine, as well as epoxide ring, and removing the unsaturation from this molecule gives levorphenol, which is used in as I forgot the name. So also the removal of the cyclohexyl moiety gives a compound that is metazocine. So what are the strategies for structure simplification? To retain the pharmacophore but and necessary functional groups, as you can see, maybe this OH is involved in the major of the activities of this compound. So it is retained, as well as the main pharmacophore, this fused 3-ring system is still there. But at last they found that only 2-ring system is also okay for the activity. So they retained it, but removed all the unnecessary ring systems from the molecule, as well as you can also remove the asymmetric centers from the molecule so as to retain the activity and making the things simpler. So coming to the pharmacokinetics in drug design, pharmacokinetic is an important aspect of drug discovery. So improving the pharmacokinetic properties also leads to increased stability of the drug, as well as the better activity of the drug. And we have to optimize the hydrophilic lipophilic balance of the drug so that it can be properly absorbed from the body and shows its effect properly. Some of the physiochemical properties can be seen in this chart. In the early stages of the drug discovery, you consider the ADME profile by molecular modeling using various machines like absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, which are the basic terms that we all have must read in undergraduate programs. So later stages of drug discovery, you do the high throughput screening of ADME. You figure it out through using your computer, your software, that which drugs could have better ADME profile. Next is the lead optimization, and we consider it as LAD, LAD-MET screening, which consists of liberation of the drug from its dosage form, then absorption of the drug, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity profile. What are the toxic effects that the drug gives in your body? So we call it LAD-MET in the industrial terms. Next is the preclinical trials, that is the pharmacokinetic profile, as well as pharmacodynamic profile and toxicity studies using living organisms. So the various...
Dr. 5 minutes left, okay?
Okay, I will try to cover it. So different aspects are, the drug must be polar, like hydrophilic lipophilic balance. I already explained there should be a hydrophilic lipophilic balance between the drugs so that it can be properly absorbed. And the stability of the drug is also important inside the body. So we do steric shielding by incorporating different functional groups, which gives protection to the vulnerable functional groups present inside the molecule. The electronic shielding is another technique by which we can replace the functional groups, the isosteric replacement we call it, so as to protect the drug, as well as stereoelectronic effects, which consist of both steric protection as well as electronic protection by incorporating various groups in the molecule. So metabolic blockers can also be introduced. It's just that you use different functional groups to protect your molecule. The last term that I would like to introduce is the prodrugs. That is the inactive form of the active drugs. Mostly we prepare esters of the active drugs, and the drugs once reach the metabolic site converted to the active drug and shows its activity. This effect is very interesting in pharmacology, the Trojan horse strategy that is employed in actually medicinal chemistry. The Trojan horse strategy enables the receptor-mediated delivery of the protein across the blood-brain barrier so that the protein drug can enter the brain and exert the desired pharmacology. Here, I consider this as best example, the example of levodopa, which is a prodrug for dopamine. As you can see the structure of dopamine, but introduction of several functional groups, that is carboxylic acid as well as amine, leads to the generation of levodopa. And dopamine itself cannot cross the blood-brain barrier because it is too polar because of hydroxyl functionality as well as amine. But when we introduce the carboxylic acid moiety in it and one hydrogen, it becomes a receptor which is carried by proteins across the blood-brain barrier, and it is metabolized there and again converted back to dopamine. So Trojan house effect is that a protein, you can say in a layman language, a taxi comes to receive a drug molecule across the blood-brain barrier. In the final step, drug discovery and preclinical evaluation, we have already discussed in the previous slides. Then the clinical trials, that is the testing of the molecules on the humans. And the pharma industry consists of three major units: R&D, which consists of formulation, quality assurance, biotechnology, pharmacology, drug discovery, on which we focus today, and the production in a large scale, and marketing, of course, to make profits. And some of the challenges faced by pharma industries are supply chain distribution, need for qualified workers, collection and analysis of huge amounts of data that we do every day, less work on the practical aspects, but more work in the collection and maintaining the data of what you have done in recent days is much more important in the pharmaceutical industry. Actually, this step is the foundation of any pharma industry, and need for agility and transparency and workforce optimization. At last, I would like to say what my professor used to tell me every time I go to him regarding some problem. He says, research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought, as it is called research. We are searching it again, but with a different perspective. At last, I would like to thank Dr. Lalu Muhammad Raham for inviting me in this symposium. And I would like to thank Dr. Navdeep Kaur for helping me in preparing this presentation. And I'm highly thankful to all the faculty members of the university for listening. So thanks for listening, and your questions are welcome.
Kind of reminding me that the drug discovery process
yes.
is very,
yes.
very complex, right?
Yes, it's very complex.
Mostly we are I think it's mostly here the participants, the clinicians, or they are doing the practice in the clinic, kind of that. So it means that we are user of the drugs, right?
Yes, of course.
The drug is in the post-marketing surveillance or in the clinics, but we doesn't realize it that the drug discovery process is very complex and needing a lot of time, needing a lot of money, right?
It seems to be very simple in these slides, but when you practically do it, you find the process as very typical, time-consuming, as well as hectic, especially when you are designing the molecule. You are thinking a lot. The whole day, you are like lost somewhere in some imagination to design a molecule, that what could be the structure which is very best for the activity.
That's right, Dr. R. So that's, I think, because our background is pharmacist, right? So
yes.
We are working or practice in the clinics. We should understand about the process of the drugs, right? So
yes, of course.
For me, it is still very, very important to understand how the process of the drugs be from the preclinical, clinical, until the post-marketing surveillance. So
especially for the undergraduate students, this aspect is very important for them to understand, because if they want to shift their field to the synthetic methodology and they want to work in some pharma industry, maybe in near future in Taiwan.
So it means that in the industry that you are working now is available for young pharmacists who would like to the working there?
Yes. If anybody is interested in research.
Okay, I see. But the background but the background is it is the qualification is minimum master or PhD.
Yes, minimum masters, and specialization either in biology, analytical, or medchem, or basic chemistry. Yeah, the minimum criteria is masters.
That's great. Great. It is very important information for the participant who would like to apply for industry in the broad country,
Yes,
especially in the Taiwan.
of course.
Yeah,
yes, of course.
That opportunity. Okay, Dr. Ars, we have some of the questions from the audience. So I think
Yes, sure.
I have to read for you, and then you directly answer it. From Alpha, he directly sent the question to me. I have one question to ask. How do we know that the new compound obtained from the isolation is new compound?
You firstly isolate the compound. Then when you identify it using different spectroscopic methods, then you prepare data. Like we call it interpretation of the characterization data, like interpretation of the proton NMR. I don't know whether you have studied, all the students have studied this field or not, but there is a technique called NMR, which we use to identify the structure of the compound, like proton and C13 NMR. Once we identify the compound through these techniques, we prepare a data, a flow chart, then search the literature whether this compound has already been prepared by someone or not. If the compound is not prepared by any of the person in this world, as I can say these days, it's very easy to find whether the compound is available or not, because there are many softwares. Mostly I use SciFinder. In SciFinder, there is a software online on Google, SciFinder. You have to make ID in that. If you draw your structure in that software, it will give you all the literature work that has been done throughout the world on that structure. And if that structure is not available in that software or any other software in any of the literature, that is in novelty. So what you patent that molecule. And if the activity is good, you make a huge profit.
Okay, I see. That's great information. Yes. Even that now is a lot of software and a lot of the database.
Yes. Now the things are very easy to do.
But very easy to identify the novelty of the research.
Yes. It's very easy.
I understand.
Thanks to the developing technology.
Yes. So hopefully that the Dr. Ars already answer Ms. Alpha's two questions. So for the second question is from Ibu Leni. Ibu Leni is, she is the pharmacist as well, Dr. Ars, but because she wrote in the Indonesian language, so I think I can translate it into the English. Her concerns is related with the drug discovery process for the COVID-19. As we know that there is no available drug right now for the COVID, right? The drugs that are available for COVID is for just we say that it's drug repurposing, right? It's not actually the drugs for COVID, but he utilized all the drugs for the COVID-19 indication. So her concern is there different treatment in the COVID-19 for the drug discovery process, whether the time, because we discussed in earlier that we know the drug process is needing around 20 years and a lot of money, right? $1 billion.
Yes.
What the difference is for the treatments of the drug discovery process for the COVID-19 in Europe?
Actually, this is a mystery these days, finding a treatment for COVID, because what is the difference in this COVID molecule? I don't know whether all the members are aware about this. Even the flu, that is the we call common cold, it is also a genera of COVID. But the COVID we are facing now is mutating at a very high rate that all of us must have read in some newspaper or any article. That is where we are seeing problem. Whenever the scientists try to find a new cure, the virus mutates. Just like we see zombie movie. So the same thing is happening.
Yes, the scientists, I think, still going for
Still
research
working.
in the
Still working.
so,
Yes.
yeah, so they understand the molecular as the I think the candidate for the drug target gene,
Yes.
drug target protein that they can utilize it for the candidate of new drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
are
think,
just trying to attenuate the effect of coronavirus, but till now there's no cure available. No cure.
yeah. I think right now is still a very not precise target, right?
Yes. I think eventually we have to develop resistance in ourselves against COVID. Otherwise, there would be no cure. Our
Okay.
system must have to develop some resistance against this disease. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ars. I think hopefully that Bu Ulani, the answer from the Dr. Ars already answer your questions. Hopefully that it's enough. So my concern is related with the one questions, Dr. Ars.
Yes.
How did you learn? Because so far that I said before also that you are really understand the process of the theory, how that you identify the compound, right? I know that your research is in the chemical, medicinal chemistry. You identify many compounds and then synthesize it, and then you identified one compound as the very good target for the drugs. So after that, you validate the clinics, you validate it in the in vitro, in vivo, even in the clinics, right? So. And then right now you are working on an industry. So how, because in my country, in Indonesia, so far, we know that the academics and industry is two different fields, kind of that. So, but you understand the connection, right, between the university and then the industry. In my questions to you, and how in your opinions, how that the role of university as the collaborations between between the university and the industry?
I think industrial life is very busy life, but university is a good life for students. You work at your own. You don't work for any profit. If you do something good in the university, you get liability for it in the form of academic papers. But in industry, I think the drawback is your novelty is not credited to you.
Oh, I see.
It will only create benefit to the industry, and you have to be always available there. I think you have to dedicate yourself to the industry for the profit of the industry, I must say. Because have seen the difference between academics and industry is profit plus social work.
Okay.
In the form of giving new medicines. Because I think academics don't have that much funding to launch a new drug. Only industry is having that much finance that a new drug can be launched in the market. That is beneficial to the industry and beneficial to the human society. So as to eliminate the different diseases, but the working style is quite different in industry. Suppose in industry, if you do something, suppose I did a new reaction, I have to prepare several records of that reaction and monitor each and every single step, single aspect related to my work. Suppose some mistake during the reaction, I have to mention that in my paperwork, that while synthesizing this, I did this. Each and every detail, whatever you are doing. There's a lot of difference between industry and academics research. Industrial research is more precise, more focused than academics. I think so.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ars. Yeah, I would like to thanks once again for your insights to every single of us. But due to the limited times, we are very sorry you can, I think, answer all the questions from the audience. But before we end the sessions, do you have a word to our to our participants, Dr. Ars?
I would only like to say them, stay motivated, stay focused, aim for the best, work hard. Hard work is the key to success. That's all. And thanks all of you for listening and for giving me this.
Okay, thank you very much once again, Dr. Ars, for inspiring thoughts. And I would also like to thank all audiences for enthusiasm. So this session was over, and I send back to, I would say, where is Miss Candia? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Lalu.
And take over the sessions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now we will meet with another part of Kamada, the organization division of Seminat Kamada Farmasi Ahmad Dahlan University and the head of Seminat Kamada Farmasi Ahmad Dahlan University. First, we are going to meet with Apoteker Adnan M.Sc for a few words. Is Apoteker Adnan already in the Zoom meetings? Selamat pagi, Pak Adnan.
Oke, selamat pagi. Oke, thank you, Ms. Candia. I'm sorry, izin untuk pakai bahasa Indonesia aja nggak apa-apa ya?
Boleh, Pak. Dipersilahkan.
Baiklah, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pertama-tama terima kasih kepada panitia di sini Kamada Farmasi, khususnya Seminat Farmasi, yang mana pada kesempatan pagi ini.
Pakai background aja, Pak. Soalnya nggak kelihatan.
Nggak kelihatan ya?
Nggak kelihatan gantengnya gitu loh.
Sebentar. Nanti Pak Lalu kalah ganteng kan repot. Oke, jelas ya. Oke, terima kasih Pak Lalu. Terima kasih pada panitia, khususnya Kamada Farmasi, lebih khusus lagi adalah Seminat Farmasi, yang mana pada kesempatan kali ini kali kedua Kamada Farmasi, khususnya Seminat Farmasi menggunakan mengadakan seminar internasional, dan saya mewakili di sini, mewakili Pak Ketua juga, Pak Himdi, karena beliau tidak bisa ramu karena ada kepentingan. Jadi kami sangat berharap bahwa memang adanya keberadaan Kamada Farmasi, khususnya seminar farmasi, manfaatnya, dan ini adalah salah satu bentuk manfaatnya. Dan kami juga dari pengurus masih berharap juga bahwa kegiatan seperti ini akan semakin kedepannya akan semakin sering, dan kita memberikan, jadi keberadaan kita memberikan faedah untuk keberlanjutan dan peningkatan dari keilmuan teman-teman sejawat sesuai dengan tema pagi ini, yaitu the challenge and opportunity of continuing education for pharmacists. Jadi tantangan dan bagi farmasi muda terkait dengan pendidikan keberlanjutan. Intinya kan kita selalu harus upgrade keilmuan kita untuk selalu menjaga marwah kompetensi sebagai seorang apoteker. Jadi tidak banyak yang saya sampaikan, saya menyampaikan mewakili dari Kamada Farmasi. Terima kasih untuk semua panitia dan semua peserta webinar internasional ini, dan selamat berwebinar, dan kita jadikan moto liburan kita adalah webinar. Saya kira itu Pak Lalu dan Mbak Kanendia. Terima kasih. Kurang lebihnya mohon maaf. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Pak Adnan atas waktunya. Thank you for your advice as Organization Division of Seminat Kamada Farmasi Ahmad Dahlan University. And next, we are going to meet Apoteker Winda Trisnawati M.Pharm for a few words. Mrs. Winda, are you ready?
Yeah, okay. You can hear my voice, Miss Kanendia?
Yes, it's clear. Mrs. Winda.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable our Dean Faculty of Pharmacy Ahmad Dahlan University. The Honorable our Vice Dean Faculty of Pharmacy Ahmad Dahlan University. The Honorable our Lecturer Faculty of Pharmacy Ahmad Dahlan University. The Honorable all of our speaker in this international webinar. the Honorable, our Himpunan Seminat Committee, Faculty of Pharmacy Ahmad Dahlan University, the Honorable all of participants. Thank you everyone for being here today at this virtual meeting on the international webinar. My name is Winda Trisnawati. I'm head of Himpunan Seminat Committee. It is such an honor for me to speak on behalf of the organizer. Let me begin by giving you a warm welcome before we go to the next topic of today's meetings. Before we get started, I would like to give my appreciation for great work to the crew who generously helped us make this webinar come true. We could not have done it without you guys. In today's webinar, we will learn many things about continuing education. As pharmacists, we are required to carry out 9 stars of pharmacists in pharmaceutical practice. The development of technology today requires every human being to continue to learn in the face of the capability of artificial intelligence that is currently developing. Pharmacists must learn to create, utilize, and even be responsible for the possible risk faced for the existence of this technology. Even though they have finished taking formal education at school, pharmacists must still be required to learn to survive in an era of technology. Learning is meant not only in the classroom. Lifelong learning is a person's effort to continue learning voluntarily and continuously for personal reasons and at personal development, increasing competitiveness and workability. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I need to hand over it to the Master of Ceremony for our next agenda to all of you. I would like to say once more on behalf of this webinar organizer, welcome. It is great to see all of you in here. Thank you and enjoy the webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mrs. Winda, for a beautiful advice. Mrs. Winda is head of Seminat Kamada Ahmad Dahlan University. Now we will have a little ice breaking for all of the participants. Hope all of you can enjoy our little present. Here we go.
Saatnya kau tengok puing yang tertinggal. Sampai kapan akan selalu berlari, hingga kini masih selalu menanti-nanti. Terbawa lagi langkahku ke sana. Mantra apa entah yang istimewa, ku percaya selalu ada sesuatu di Jogja. Dengar lagu lama ini katanya, izinkan aku pulang ke kotamu. Ku percaya selalu ada sesuatu di Jogja.
Okay, sesuatu di Jogja, that's our little surprise for all of you from SIGFAR, our music pharmacy, one of our LSO in Faculty of Pharmacy who working on music specialty. Move from our ice breaking. In this event, we're going to meet again with Mr. Lalu for introducing us to the next speaker. Mr. Lalu, time and place is yours.
Okay, Mbak Kanindia. Thank you once again. Semoga nggak bosan ya. Thank you once again, Mbak Kanindia. So we move to the second speaker. And this second speaker will be with Ms. June Colley, Master of Science. She is from Treehouse Academy English. She will share to every single of us about the opportunity for continuing educations in the United States or in America. So I would like to greetings, Ms. Jones. Hello, Ms. Jones.
Hello there. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. So are you in US right now or in Taipei or where?
No, I'm still in Taiwan right now. Not in the US yet.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So before we get started, I think I would like to share your short profile. Okay. Can you see, Ms. Kanidia?
Yes, Mr. Lalu, it's clear.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so our second speaker will be with Ms. Junie Colley, Master of Science. Her education is from bachelor. She obtained her bachelor in Fine Arts Education, University of Georgia, United States, and Master in Master Global Health and Development in Taipei Medical University. And now she's working in Treehouse Academy English. So I know you, Ms. Junie, and we are friends, right? When we are continuing our education in Taiwan. So you switched your study from US to Asia. So I think so. It's mostly that the people in Asia would like to continue the educations to US, right? But you, from the bachelor in US and then you postgraduate switch to the Asia. So we would like to know what is the reasons, I think, to you can share to our students, you can share to our young pharmacists here, because I think they have kind of they have plan to continue, who would like to continue the educations, especially for the postgraduates in US. You can give us a lot of your experience during your study and during it, because you are staying in California, right, Ms. Junie?
Yes. So my hometown is actually California. So I did come to Taiwan after I finished my bachelor's. So a couple years after I finished my bachelor's. The reason why I came to Taiwan was mostly for the experience. I wanted to experience a different culture. I wanted to experience a different language. So when I was younger, I've always wanted to travel. So after I actually did finish my bachelor's, before I came to Taiwan, I had moved to South America. I stayed in Ecuador. So Ecuador is a country in South America, and I stayed there for a year and a half, and I was also teaching there. And then after that is when I decided to move to Taiwan. So my main reason or my main goal for coming to Taiwan was to experience a different lifestyle. I've lived in the US all my life, and I know the lifestyle of the US. So I wanted to experience something different. So that is the reason why I came to Taiwan.
Thank you so much, Ms. James. I think so. We will have times. You will have times around 30 minutes to deliver speech now, and after that we have Q&A session, because a lot of the audience would like to discuss with you. I think related to the challenges and opportunities to continue the educations in the US. So the time for you, Ms. Junie, right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone. All right, so good morning to you all. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, perfect. So good morning again. So the title of my presentation is A Perspective and Insight to Continuing Education in US. So I hope this presentation will be beneficial to those who do wish to study in the US. I will briefly highlight some of my experience, and I would like for you guys to as well keep in mind that these are my experience and everyone's path will definitely be different. Okay, so because if you are going to study in the US, you will come in as an international student. I was studying as a US citizen, so definitely there's a big difference, but I will still highlight some of my experience. So over 1.1 million international students enrolled in the last academic year to the US. Nearly 5% of students in US higher education are actually international students. So it's a massive community that keeps growing and growing. So if you are considering to study in the US, I'm going to also share some tips at the end that I think might be helpful for you in your transfer to the US. So a bit of my background, my hometown is in California, specifically Fresno, California, which you can see on the map. It's on the west side of America. And my family and I, we relocated to Georgia, which is a southern state. You can see on the map, I have a little dot right there, which is a southern state in the US. So the US has 50 states, and each state is relatively very different in terms of lifestyle, in terms of food, in terms of the people that are living there. So you have to remember that when you want to move to the US, you have to consider which state would be suitable for you, which I will explain later on into my PowerPoint. So once I finished, we actually moved to the US after my elementary years. So I decided to continue my higher level education in Georgia because of the living expenses. Georgia and California are very different in terms of the cost and the living expenses. California is really, really expensive. So California and New York are one of the top most expensive states in America. So I decided to stay in Georgia strictly because I know it was much more cheaper. And if I was to continue my bachelor's, I would not have to pay so much out of pocket. So I decided to start off my higher education by going directly to a college instead of a university, which I will later explain. So I started off at GPC, which is Georgia Perimeter College, and then I transferred to Valdosta State University, and then I completed my bachelor's in the University of Georgia. So a college is very different from a university. A college is strictly 2 years education, and universities are 4 years education. And I will explain as I continue on with my presentation. So at Georgia Perimeter College, I only stayed there for 1 year. So I did my core studies in Georgia Perimeter College before I actually transferred to Valdosta State University, which is a 4 years education. And my main goal of coming to Georgia Perimeter College was to cut down the cost, of my tuition, because it's only 2 years, so it's much more cheaper than going directly into a 4-year university. And also because I was an in-state resident, it was relatively cheaper as well. So before I actually started my journey into college and university, I wanted to make sure that once I received my degree, I did not owe the bank any money. I did not owe the school any money. I wanted to come out debt-free, because most students have a big problem. This main problem that students face is that they come out and they owe a lot of money, either to the bank or to the school, and they're not able to pay off the loan because they've got themselves into a big mess of acquiring so much loan and not being able to pay back. So my main goal was to make sure that I was able to go to school and complete my education and not have any debt on my neck. So that is the reason why I started off with Georgia Perimeter College, to save on the tuition and also to make sure that I was debt-free. So for in-state tuition, it was cheaper. It was around $3,360. So an in-state is a resident that have lived in the state for a number of years. So if you have not lived in that state for at least 4 to 5 years, you will not be considered an in-state. You would be considered an out-of-state resident. So an out-of-state resident would pay more than an in-state resident. But because I've been living in Georgia for more than 4 or 5 years, I was considered in-state. So the tuition cost was relatively lower than those who were coming from a different state that wanted to study in Georgia. So right after I finished my core studies at GPC, I transferred to Valdosta State University. Now, Valdosta State University is at the borderline of Georgia and Florida. It's still located in Georgia, but it's just maybe 10 to 15 minutes away from Florida. So the reason why I decided to go to Valdosta State was because I wanted to experience the student lifestyle. When I was in GPC, there was no student lifestyle because I was close to home. So I lived at home. I would go to school and then come back home. I didn't get to experience different activities. I didn't get to experience different clubs. I didn't experience any of the social lifestyle that comes with being a student at a university. So that is the reason why I decided to transfer. So I transferred here to finish up an extra 1 year. So I did 1 year at the college, and I also did 1 year here at Valdosta State University. My degree, for my second year, my degree was interior design. So I wanted to do something that was of my interest, which was art. I love arts, I love drawing, I love painting. So anything related to art, I wanted to focus on that. So that's why I went with interior design. So once I finished my second year at Valdosta State University, I then again decided that I wanted to transfer because I felt like I was too far away from my family. Like I said, it took me maybe almost 6 hours every weekend. I would drive on Friday after class, and I would drive all the way back to my home, which was 6 hours away. And then on Sunday, I would drive back so that I can make it in time for my classes on Monday. So also as well, for Valdosta State, I was lucky enough that I was able to apply for a scholarship. So while I was in Valdosta State, I stayed in the dormitory. Now the dormitory, they have different levels. So depending on what year you are in, they have different accommodation. So if you're starting off your first year as a freshman, you would live in a dormitory where you have, I think, around 3 to 4 people in a room. And then each person would have their own bed, almost like a bunk bed. But if you are a senior who has been studying at the university for 4 to 5 years, then you would have your own room. But I was lucky enough to be able to have my own room, even though I was coming in for my second year, which would have made me a sophomore. So for a sophomore, I would have to have shared my room with someone, but I was fortunate enough to apply for a scholarship which paid for my dorm rent. So I didn't have to pay for my dorm rent, and I still was able to live by myself like I was a senior, but technically I was a sophomore. So after Valdosta State University, I transferred for the last time to University of Georgia. So here is where I completed my last 2 years to attain my bachelor's degree. So I was also very fortunate enough to apply for a grant, and this grant paid fully for my 2 years that I was in University of Georgia. So University of Georgia is one of the top universities in Georgia. They're very known pretty much across America. So that's the reason why I wanted to finish up my last 2 years here, because I knew that if I wanted to get a job in the future, it would be easy for me because everybody knows this university. If you tell them that you've graduated from University of Georgia, many people are highly impressed that you went to this university. So that is the reason why I decided to finish up my last 2 years at this university. At this university, the social experience that you have is very, very massive. This school is very known for football. So every semester, they have lots of football games. As you can see in the picture that I've posted, football is one of the major sports events that they have at this university. And while I was at this university, the only thing that I actually had to pay for was my apartment. So because this university was an hour away from my home, I got an apartment. And the way I paid for this apartment was having student jobs. So I worked on campus. I had multiple jobs. I was a cook, I was doing tutoring, and I was also a sports manager. So usually in universities, you can apply for student jobs while you are studying. So that can help you cut down on some of your expenses, which is what I did. The only expenses I had was my apartment, which was roughly around $500 US per month. So while working, I was able to use that money to pay for my apartment, but my tuition was covered from a government scholarship that I applied for, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get that scholarship. So I didn't have to pay for any tuition, just what I needed to sustain myself and also for my apartment. So if you definitely are wanting to go into studying in the US, you should also look for student jobs. Lots of universities offer international students jobs that they can do while attaining their degree. So like I said before, sports is very big in this university. If you are a good athlete, if you're good in a certain type of sport, most schools will sponsor your education for free. So if you're coming out of high school and you were playing maybe basketball or football or whatever the case may be, and you are really, really good and you apply for a certain university, most universities will offer you a full scholarship so that you can play for their university. So you'll be playing for their university, and at the same time, you'll be receiving your education for free. So that is what most of my friends did. Some of them who were really good in high school, they ended up going to the top schools in America because they were very good in sports. But I was not good in sports, so that I was not fortunate in that area like others were, but that is okay. And also in this universities, the alumni there's a lot of alumni and a lot of very prestigious people that go to this university. So they have lots of big companies, and they have ways that can further advance your career in terms of job searching. So that is one of the reasons why I also went to this university, is because I wanted to connect with as many people as possible, because I knew that once I finish my bachelor's, the next thing was for me to find a job. But if I didn't have any connections, it would be much harder for me to find a job. So connecting with as many people as possible will be very beneficial in potentially helping you find a decent job, because most alumni, they have big businesses, they have their own jobs, they have things going for themselves. So try to connect with as many people as possible. So overall, attaining my bachelor's degree, I ended up not having to pay a single penny, because I was able to schedule how I wanted to go about with my studies. Like I said before, my main goal was to come out with a degree and not have a debt or not have a loan that I have to pay back. I think in the US, for most people, that is the big problem. They end up going to school, and once they finish their education, they are not able to pay back the money. So they end up being stressed and then taking out more loans to pay. So I didn't want that at all. I just wanted to finish debt-free. So this is just a highlight to what I experienced while I was studying. I would have to say that depending on where you decide to study in the US, your experience will be definitely different. And then you also have to remember that the tuition across the states of America is different. Like I mentioned before, California is relatively much more expensive than Georgia. So you have to consider where you would like to stay and have study in the future. So now I'm going to give a bit of tips that I think might be beneficial for those who do wish to study in the US. So the first steps, these are things I think are important that you need to do when you are factoring studying in the US. Number one is to research your options. Okay, so research exactly where you would like to stay within the US, what type of school, what type of college or university. And then number two is to finance your studies. How are you going to pay for your tuition, and how are you going to pay for your living expenses? It's not that cheap in US compared to Indonesia. I've been to Indonesia for roughly 3 or 4 weeks, and I can say there's a big difference in the living expenses. Things are very cheap in Indonesia compared to the US. So you have to keep that in mind. And also completing your application. Okay, so once you have decided exactly which university you would like to further your studies, you need to make sure that you complete your application on time, because that's very crucial, especially for crucial in the US, because once you've passed the deadline, that is it. You have to wait until the next school term or the next semester before you can continue on. And then also apply for your student visa. Okay, so there are certain visas that you would need depending on what you are coming to study in the US. There's F visa and M student visa, which I will continue to talk about in the next slide. Okay, so research your options. So the best college or university is the one that meets your requirements. So what are you looking to study academically and financially? How much are you prepared to pay? And personally, where do you fit best in? It all depends on what type of weather you like, what type of atmosphere you like. Your personal requirements are also necessary once you are researching your options. Some questions that you should think about while you are researching your options is, why do you actually want to study in the United States? Some people, they just want to go to the United States just because it's the United States. But that's not a good reason, because United States has so much to offer. So you have to know exactly, what do you want? Are you looking to have a better future? Are you looking to get a good job? What do you want to study in the United States, and why? And where will you fit in best? Okay, so like I said, if you are a cold-natured person, you might prefer to go up north. If you are a hot person, or you like the warm weathers, you might prefer to go south. And also, it all just depends. Goes back into your personal requirements, where you would fit in the best. Which colleges or universities will meet your needs? Okay, so if you are wanting to attain a certain degree in this area, maybe you might look at a certain college that does with technology, that deals just strictly with technology or strictly with science. There's different types of tons and tons of universities in the US. So finding a university that will meet your needs will not be that difficult. And also, will you need financial assistance? When you're coming in as an international student, you are able to get financial government assistance, but that only applies if you have good grades on your transcripts. Okay, so they usually look at your high school transcripts, and if you've also already started your education, your higher level education, they will also look at that as well. They also look at your family income, okay, to see exactly how much your family is making. Then they will determine if they will give you government assistance. But I would recommend that if you are wanting to go to the US, you should make sure that you have full scholarship. If you do not have full scholarship, then I don't think you should accept coming to the US, because like I said, US is very expensive. Food is expensive, the utilities, water, light, electricity, everything is really expensive. So you have to keep that in mind. If you don't have enough savings, maybe you should wait for a couple of years, save up enough money, and then come. But if you don't have full scholarship to come to the US, then I would suggest not coming, because you are going to be stressed trying to pay for your tuition and also trying to keep up with your studies, making sure that you're doing exactly what you need to do to be able to complete your degree. Then other questions are, what are the application and financial aid deadlines? Okay, like I said before, most universities and college are very strict on the deadlines. So once you've passed the deadline, then you have to wait for the upcoming semester or the upcoming term. So making sure that you keep yourself ahead of the game and know exactly when things are due would definitely prepare you to stay on track. And where do you want to live in the US? That goes back to your personal requirements. Like I said before, where exactly would you like to stay and where do you fit in the best? And you should also keep in mind that schools you apply for must be certified by the Student Exchange Visitor Program, because you are coming in as an international student, so it must be certified. If the schools that you choose to go to are not certified, then there's no point. But you can check for the certified schools at the Department of Homeland Security. So once you've decided, okay, maybe example, I would like to study in California, okay? So if you go to the Department of Homeland Security website for California, you'll be able to find a list of schools that are certified for international students. So then you can choose from those schools. And once you've chosen those schools, then you can look into details of the majors and the programs that they offer, and then continue to narrow down your search until you figure out which university is the best one for you. So make sure that whatever school that you choose to go to, it is certified by the Student Exchange Visitor Program. So the next one is to finance your studies. Okay, so you need to invest in yourself. The cost of living and studying across the United States is totally different. Like I mentioned before, California is very expensive compared to Georgia, where I did my bachelor's degree. So you start your financial planning as early as possible. Make sure that you look into the university, how much the tuition may cost, and also to gauge the living expenses. Because once you move, you're going to come into what we would call emergency money. So you need to have backup money. Some things might happen unexpectedly that you were not, it's unexpected. Nobody was expecting it to happen. So you will need extra backup money. So make sure you have enough money for your studies and also backup money just in case you run into emergency. You have to pay for maybe health insurance, you have to pay for something at school, application fees. So just have enough money that you are able to cover your tuition and extra related things that might happen that you were not expecting to happen. And then look for special opportunities and financial aid. That is very important. Like I mentioned before, make sure that you have a full scholarship before coming to the US. If you don't, then there's no point. Also, they have other types of scholarships depending on the university that you wish to attend. They have scholarships for tall people, they have scholarships for Muslims, they have scholarships if you have red hair, they have different types of scholarships. So you can take advantage of that and look into the details of what types of scholarships they have. I've seen scholarships strictly only for people who are left-handed. So if you write with your left hand, there's a scholarship for that. So there's tons of scholarship. You just have to do your research and try to find those scholarships. And if you do find those scholarships, it would definitely be rewarding for you because then you don't have to pay out of pocket, which is the best thing anyone can offer, not paying out of pocket, and you're able to save. And also financial aid, which goes back to government assistance, how much the government will give you. Like I mentioned before, you must be living in a state for a particular number of years before you are able to get government assistance. So if you are deciding to go to a certain state, I'm not sure about international students. I don't think you have to stay in that state for a number of years because you're just coming in fresh to the United States. But for US citizens, we have to live in that state for a number of years before we are able to get government assistance. But I think that would be different for international students. And then also keep in mind that the United States is a large country. There's lots of people. It's a big melting pot, and the living varies greatly from place to place. Like I always mention to people, every state is different, and every state has something it can offer, and every state has its pros and its cons. Some things are positive and some things are negative. So you have to do your research in great details to figure out what fits you best. Then step 3 is to complete your application. So this step covers the general application that you would need, the requirements that you would need for the US colleges and universities. Make sure that you are keen on deadlines. Make sure that you know when things are due, your CV, your transcript. You would need recommendation letters. You also need your English exam scores. Coming in as an international student, they will ask you for your proficiency in English, your level in English. So that is very important, making sure that you are, your level in English is sufficient enough to be able to attend universities in America, because all the universities, they speak English. So you must be able to understand, you must be able to comprehend what the professors are saying. Okay, so if your level of English is not so well, you can start practicing beforehand so that once you take the exam, you get a high score, which would be beneficial for you when you are applying. Then after that, once you have done all that, you need to apply for your student visa. Okay, so this step covers FJM student visa. So there's different student visa types. So F is for academic students, and then there's M for vocational students. So you have to see which one pertains to you, and you can go on the department state and find out exactly which one you need to apply for, which is self-explanatory. You just follow the steps, complete the application, complete what they are asking from you, and then from there they would be able to tell you if you're able to get the visa type that you need to go to the US. All right, so some tips for adapting to student life in the US is once you have entered the US and you are here as a new international student, you need to make sure that you research campus student support. When I was here in Taiwan and I was starting my master's degree, that's something that I didn't really research because you're going to get homesick, right? This is not your home. So you're gonna miss your food, you're gonna miss your family, you're gonna miss being surrounded by the people you love. So research campus student support. They will have counseling centers. They will even also have different activities that can immerse you into the American culture, meaning give you a bit of, make you feel more at home with the university. Because sometimes you just get homesick and you're just like, oh, I wish I had this, but it's unfortunate you cannot get it at the moment. So having student support is very, very important for your mental and physical health, because that would help you in your studies as well. If you're not able to concentrate and you're just homesick most of the time, there's no way you're going to be able to be successful in your degree, successful in your education. So researching campus student support, seeing the ways that the campus can help you out to be able to assist you, to be able to even guide you, especially if you are in need of money. What type of assistance does the school offer to students who are not able to pay for the tuition? There's many supports out there. So I would recommend that you take advantage of researching this opportunity. And then also prepare to participate. What I noticed between Taiwan education and the US education is that in Taiwan, there's not a lot of participation amongst the students in the classroom. So when I was studying, when I was attaining my bachelor's degree, I noticed that we had lots of group presentation and lots of presentation, single presentation, where you have to stand in front of maybe 500 to 600 people and you have to speak. And most people are not good with public speaking. So that's something that I learned when I was in the States, public speaking. You're forced to speak because your professors are going to give you lots of assignments where you have to speak with hundreds of people. So you have to get keen and you have to adjust yourself to participating with groups, participating with different types of people, because most professors will assign those type of assignments where you have to have a task and you have to go outside and meet people, random people, and your assignment is to ask random people questions about this and that. So it has to do with a lot of in-depth participation. So you have to remove the fear, because most people don't like talking to people, but you have to remove that fear and have enough courage to be able to talk to different types of people. That also goes back to working on your English skills. If you're proficient in English, then you'll be very confident in talking to different types of people. You wouldn't have any fear and feel like, oh, my English is not good enough, that they're not able to understand me. But the good thing about Americans is that even though your English might not be the best, they will still try as hard as they can to understand what you are trying to say. So don't feel embarrassed, don't feel that your English is not good enough. Just keep practicing, just keep trying and motivating yourself to get better. If you're speaking with your classmates frequently, but by the end of the semester, your English level would have drastically increased. So have no fear that my English is not good enough. You just need to practice and also participate, meaning once you finish your class, don't go back into your dorm and stay in your dorm the whole day. Like, go outside, explore, use the English language, interact with even your dorm roommates, and just interact with everyone as much as possible. And the last, and I think the most important thing, is to make connections. What do I mean by making connections? You need to take advantage of meeting people. Connect with as many people as possible while you are studying, because most people, they can help you advance your career. Like I said before, I have friends who only went to school for 2 years, who only did their associate's degree, which is only 2 years, and they're working for big businesses. And you wonder, how did they get that job? Well, they got that job because they connected with people. They knew people who were working for big companies and big businesses. So even though they don't have a bachelor's, they don't have a master's, they don't have Ph.D., they only have 2 years degree, they were able to get very good jobs because they connected. Oh, I have a friend who's working for this company. Maybe I can refer you to that company, and bam, they got the job. And I have friends who have PhD degrees, but they don't have good high-paying jobs because when they were in universities, they didn't connect with the right people. In university, you meet a range of people, you meet diverse people. So you never know who would be able to help you further your advancement when it comes to finding jobs after you finish your studies. So connect with as many people as possible. Go on LinkedIn, connect with your friends. Even your professors might have LinkedIn, connect with them as well, because that's important. They can write recommendations for you. Once you leave that university and you want to go to another university to get your master's or get your PhDs, they would be the best person to go to write recommendations for you. So if you have their contact, you can keep up with them and say, okay, I would like to continue my education. Please help me write a recommendation. So make as much connections as possible, because you never know who will be willing to help you. And that's the fastest way to move up in America. It's not necessarily about your education. It's more about who you know. If you know the right people, you can get into the right doors. Education is important, but connecting with the right people is just as important, because whoever you know can really, really help you in moving forward with your career. So that would be all. And thank you very much. If you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. For sharing it with us. I think you can open your camera so that the audience can know you.
Okay. How to, 1 second.
Yeah, just you click the stop video, or yeah, you click the
Did I stop the video?
No, I mean, you want to show your face, right?
Yes. So how?
You can click the in the left side that the start video.
Start video. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think you can. We cannot see your face because of the background. I think you can remove the background. Can you?
I want to make it a big screen. So where can I do that? Can you see now?
But yeah, I think it's because of the backgrounds. Can you remove the backgrounds?
The background?
Yeah, the virtual background. Can you? You can click the in the up of the left side. Meeting information.
On the left side.
Yes. And you click the settings.
Settings, okay.
Yes, and then backgrounds.
Settings is
Backgrounds
on
filter.
what side?
Yes.
Uh,
Setting backgrounds is on the meeting information.
I have no settings on.
Oh, really? Okay. But we can see you. It's okay.
It shows no settings. Okay, maybe I log off and then come back in. How about that? Can I try that?
It's not okay, lah.
Hmm?
It's okay. You can stay because the problem is not because of the connections or because of the virtual background. It's Jenny. It's fine.
So you can't see my face at all.
Yeah. We can see your face. It's no problems.
Okay. I'm looking at settings.
Thank you once again.
Settings. Okay, I think I figured it out.
Sure,
I figured it out right here.
Yeah.
Wait. How about now?
Okay, that's great.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, we can see. You can see.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Thanks once again, Ms. Junes. I'm sure it's very useful. It's very useful, especially for young students here and young pharmacists, because many of them are from the young pharmacists. And I would like to sum up the main points that the continuing educations is very different, right? So many factors that can influence, like environmental factors, the cost, availability of the scholarship, the family reasons, and many others. So you give us the connections and interact as many people as possible, because of the people can help us, can help you for many reasons, right? So the other one is that the research, the campus that you would like to apply is very important also, and prepare your English. And again, that you always reminding us that the connecting with the right people is very important. Okay, so I think we have kind of the other questions from our audience. Here is Mrs. Kanindia, right? You would like to ask the questions to our sister, right? To our speaker today. Yes. You can directly. You can directly interact with.
Yes. Okay. Good morning, Mrs. Colley.
Good morning.
I just kind of curious about something, because as we know, in US, Muslim is minority, right? I mean, among US students, there must be a little amount with a hijab. So what you gonna do for that? I mean, it's minority, right?
Excuse me 1 second. I cannot hear you. Can you speak? Can you speak louder, please? I cannot hear you.
Okay. I'm sorry. I repeat it.
Okay.
As we can see, in US, Muslim is minority, and as a student in US, we have the same in wearing hijab. So, what your perspective about racism in hijab in US? I mean, among students, of course, hijab is a little amount in their fashion, in their daily activity, right? So how about your perspective about racism hijab in US?
Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Colley.
No worries. So let me clarify your question. Your question is about racism in the US amongst Muslims. Is that correct?
Yes. Especially for women who wear the hijab.
Wearing the hijab. Okay, perfect. My experience is more so that you would meet some people who are very harsh. Okay, so actually I should have mentioned that. You have to have a tough skin in the US, because one thing about Americans is because they're very straightforward. They will tell you exactly what is on their mind, even if it's good or not so good. and you have some people who are very biased towards Muslims. So when I was in the University of Georgia, it wasn't actually a problem because we had a very big group of Muslims. We had people from Pakistan, people from India. So that was not really a problem. But when I was in Valdosta State, that's the university closer to Florida, that area is more known for just white people. I should just put it like that, more of Caucasians. So they were not really accepting of Muslims. They didn't say anything in particular, or they didn't do anything in particular to harm the Muslims that were there, but just the look, right? The looks that you get and the way people just stare at you was very uncomfortable. But I didn't let that get to me because actually in the US, it's like that everywhere. Muslims are always the target. But one thing I would have to say is that if you are walking by yourself, make sure that do not walk by yourself. Make sure that you are walking with someone who's much stronger than you. Because now in recent times, there's been lots of cases where people are very harsh and brutal towards Muslim women. It's easy for them to be able to identify a Muslim woman, but it's not easy for them to be able to identify a Muslim man, right? Because they see the hijab and they automatically already know that, okay, this person is a Muslim. But for them to be able to tell who is a Muslim man, it's a bit more difficult unless you have a beard. But lots of Americans have beards already. So that part is a bit difficult. So one thing I would suggest is to make sure that you are always surrounded in a group. Make sure that you are not by yourself. If you want to go to the store or if you want to go anywhere, just make sure you are with someone else, just so that there's a bit of protection. That's one thing I would recommend, because I think when I was studying, it wasn't as bad as it is now. Now we have the internet where there's lots of different news reports about terrorists, and then we had 9/11, which was a big deal. That's when most Americans started realizing what Muslims are. Like before 9/11, no one ever knew about Muslims. But after 9/11, that became oh, this person is wearing a headscarf. Oh, they're a Muslim, so we need to target them. So I would say the first thing is to have a strong backbone. You must be prepared to go through that. That's something which is unfortunate. There's no way to stop people. People are going to do whatever they want to do. Whether it's right or wrong, they're going to do whatever they want to do. But you just have to be very cautious and make sure that you don't go into settings or places where you think that, oh, this people might be very, might treat me in a certain way. You have classmates as well. You have classmates, I would have to tell you this, that will speak to you in a manner that is not respectful. When that situation occurs, I'm very quick to let them know that it's not respectful. So like I said before, Americans are very straightforward. They tell you exactly what is on their mind. They don't keep anything internally. They don't know how to say, oh, that's not nice. Maybe I should not say it out loud. They will say everything and anything out loud, even if it's not nice. So once you have classmates that are not respectful, that you have to deal with on a daily basis, the best thing for them to do is to let them know that is not respectful and that you are not going to tolerate that. Once you stand firm on that, they will back away from you, right? But if you don't say anything, they will continue to do things to make you angry or upset because they want to see how far they can push you. Do not let anybody push you, because they're very known for that. Oh, she didn't say nothing when I said this to her, so maybe I can try something even more mean, and then maybe something even more mean or more aggressive until it becomes to a term where you are not able to defend yourself. You don't want to be in that situation where it becomes so critical that you are not able to defend yourself. So when something happens within the school environment, you can let them know and say, okay, I will not tolerate that. And then you can also report it to the school. So you give the information of the student, what they said to you. And if it's something that has been repeated frequently, then the school will terminate their education. They will not be able to come back and study at that university. So if they get enough complaints from a certain individual that keeps threatening Muslims, that keep being very evil and harsh towards Muslims, if they get enough complaints, then that student can no longer study at that university, which leaves a very bad mark on that student. Because once they want to apply to another university, they're going to ask, why did you get terminated from this university? And they will have to explain the reason, being, oh, I was not nice, or not even nice. I was doing things that was harming Muslims at a university. And usually they usually put that on your student profile. So it would be very difficult for that student to be able to apply to another university, because that would be on their student profile that they were terminated from this university because of these reasons. So the best thing I can tell you is to have a strong backbone, because you're going to experience lots of things and it's going to make you angry, but it's just all a test. You just have to remember everything is a test, and you just have to prepare for the test. And some things you have to stand up to yourself and fight back. If you don't, they're just going to continue. I hope that helps a bit.
Okay. Miss Kanindia, hello. Kanindia, already answered your question.
Yeah, I think that was a great insight from Ms. Colley. So I hope I can have those experiences too. Thank you, Mrs. Colley.
I think Miss Junie, you already came to Indonesia, right? You have experience too.
Yes.
Yeah. You went to Java, right?
I went to Jakarta. I went to Surabaya.
Yes,
I went to Malang. I went to
Jakarta. You didn't came to Jakarta, right?
No, I went to Jakarta. I went.
Yogyakarta.
Oh, Jogja. Yes, I went also.
Yeah,
I went. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I see. So I think in the future, after, I don't know, in Taiwan right now, is the pandemic's already over or still pandemic? Because in our country, I think we are trying to move from the pandemic into the endemic. So there is no restriction. We would like to go to anywhere here. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So one question again, I think from one of the participants, because she sent it to me by Indonesian language, so I think I translated into English. She asking relatives with the English language, but you already delivered about the you already speak about the English, right? Interact with many people as possible, right? And then because of the language is about the habits, right? Is about the skills. So a lot of the scholarships they require us to because the language in English language is not our mother language, so they require us to kind of the IELTS. Do you know the IELTS, right? Because you didn't need to apply for IELTS, right? Because you are the US citizens, but we should to be provide that kind of a certificate. So many of us has kind of the challenges in the IELTS score. So do you have any tips for our students here who would like to continue the educations in USA, especially because you say that no scholarship don't come to US because it is very dangerous, right?
Right.
Yeah, the financial issue is the first it's first step we should to make sure about. So do you have any steps to give to our students who has the score of IELTS is So,
I cannot say much about the tips in regarding this because I don't need it. But from my teaching experience, the best way in order to attain a higher score, you just need to practice. There's no other way around it, right? You can't cheat on the test to get a higher score, or there's nothing else you can do to get a higher score. You just have to practice. There's lots of different, I know there's a lot of different test handbooks that you can do, that have practice materials that you can take, like the tests, like pre-test, and it can give you an idea you stand. So you can know, okay, I need to work more on maybe this area, or I need to work less in this area. The best way is just to practice. So maybe looking online at different materials that has to do with, and I'm sure if you go on their website, they will have pre-tests that you can take. You can take the pre-test over and over to see your score. So that will help you understand what you need to work more on. That would be my best advice. I don't know any other way you can go about having a higher just to practice it. And also, if you have friends that are from English-speaking countries, just talk to them. You have to get outside of your box, outside of your comfort zone. It's very difficult at times to just say, okay, let me go and speak to a foreigner. But you just have to try. That's the only way you're going to improve, because the English speaker has the intonation, they have the fluency that would help you. Once you listen to them speak, you're learning at the same time. It's not just them speaking. You're learning and you're taking in new words, new vocabulary. That would also help improve your own speaking skills. So I think the best thing is just to study and to practice as much as possible, and to also find a lot of pre-tests. You know, they also have this, I'm not sure if you guys don't need SAT and ACT scores, but for the SAT, it's SAT and ACT scores are for US citizens that they must take. So it's a test that shows your level of understanding in different subjects like math, science, English, language arts, and so on. So they have lots of pre-tests in different subjects. So if you go online and just type in SAT English pre-test, you can take the pre-test just only for English and get an idea of how the English test will be, or even for ACT. And after you're done, they will show you your scores. So those are some ways that can help prepare you for the test. You just
practice. Any other questions from the audience? Hello, everyone who would like to ask the questions to our speaker. Mbak Kanindia, is there any other your friends, I think, would like to ask you?
Sorry, I can hear you clearly, Mr. Lalu.
Yeah, is there any other participants would like to ask to our speaker, to Ms. Junie? Because Mbak Noverda, hello Mbak Noverda, are you here? Because you would like to ask and interact directly to Mrs. Junie. I know that Mrs. Junie is very busy, so I'm sorry for bothering you actually, Ms. Junie, because you're very busy, right, in Taiwan. So this time is very golden time actually for us, especially for our students and our participant here. You know that the participant here is around almost 1,000 because it's divided into Zoom and then YouTube.
Wow.
So coming to
wow,
the Zoom.
That is a lot of people.
A lot of the participants. Okay. Okay, one of the students, I think, is from Answer. You know Answer, right? Answer is one of the students in Taipei Medical University. She asking about the Muslim society in Taiwan.
Can I?
Yeah. You can directly.
I'm so sorry. I just joined the meeting and then seeing that this interesting discussion or seminar, and then I want to ask about your experience.
You mute your Zoom, Answer. Hello, Mas Answer. Can you open your sound, unmute it?
Hello.
Yeah.
I wanna ask about how's your experience as a Muslim minority in different kind of different cities.
Belum sama bonusnya.
Again, I didn't get that. Somebody else was speaking.
Mas Lalu?
Sorry.
Yes, she asking regarding the experience in Taiwan related with the Muslim society, how that you can adapt once you come to Taiwan, because in Taiwan, we know that the Taiwan is not the there is not many Muslim, so how you adapt yourself there in Taiwan.
Okay, so let me make sure I'm understanding the question. The question is my experience in Taiwan as a Muslim minority. Is that the question?
Yes, kind of that.
My experience here is actually different from the States, I would have to say. Here, I would say that I've had more of a positive experience than I did in the US. Why? Because I've never had anyone here try to harm me in any form or come to me and say something that was rude or brutal. So I would say my experience has been much more positive. The only thing that I would have to discuss more on is that it's very difficult here to find halal restaurants and halal food, right? We all know Taiwanese, they love pork, and they love pork. So that has been very difficult for me. And especially relative to halal food, the buying halal meat here is very expensive compared to the US. Like I said before, US is expensive, but when I compare the prices in terms of chicken, in terms of beef or lamb, here is way expensive. Like some things I can get for half the cost in the US as opposed to in Taiwan. But I would say besides that, it's been more positive. For Taiwanese, they seem to be much more curious about the religion. So I've had lots of people who would come and ask questions. Okay, why do you wear the headscarf? Or maybe in the summer, oh, don't you feel hot in the headscarf? Like, you know, are you not hot? And once I give them my reasons, most of the time they're able to accept. I'm not sure if they fully understand, but they're able to accept my reasons and say, okay, that's your religion, so I can accept it for what it is. But in the US, even if you state your reasons as to this and that, they still don't seem to accept it. They just want to find a way to criticize or to put down the religion. So there's a big difference in people's attitude and the way they interact with Muslims. I would say here, they're much more curious to know why things are done a certain way, or why do you guys have to eat halal, or why do you guys have to pray 5 times a day. They're much more curious to knowing why. They might not accept all the reasons, but just the curiosity alone is enough. But in the US, even after you give your reasons, they still find ways to try and taint the religion. Oh, that it shouldn't be like that. Even after you give them your reasons of why you have to do a certain thing the way you do it, oh, maybe that's not the right way, or it is, no, I think that's incorrect, or maybe it's very much more harsh. So I would say my experience here is much more positive. Also, in regards to that, there's not much mosque or masjids in Taiwan, right? Because Muslim population is relatively very low. We have lots of Indonesians here, and a lot of other foreigners that are Muslims, but still is relatively low. And then the main religion in Taiwan is Buddhism, okay? So we have to keep that in mind that, yeah, this is not a Muslim country, so of course, we're not going to expect to have everything that we need as a Muslim here. We just have to do with what we have and accept it the way it is.
Okay, I see. Thank
so
you.
yeah,
Thank
I would
you
say
for
much
your-
more positive here, even though I would say, like you mentioned, we are a Muslim minority here, but I think overall, I would prefer my safety in Taiwan as opposed to in the US, where people will just randomly be very brutal to you once they see you with a hijab. I prefer the peace of mind here.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you once again, Ms. Junie, for your sharing. So due to limited times, we are very sorry we cannot to answer all the questions from all the audiences. Before we end the sessions, do you have a word that you would like to deliver to all the participants?
Can you repeat one more time? Sorry.
Do you have any words that you, before we end these sessions, do you have any messages or words that you would like to deliver to the participant?
For those who are wishing to study in the US, I would just say, keep striving, keep pushing yourself. Anything in life is possible. You just have to keep focused and keep determined. You have to be determined in what you want. And you can definitely achieve anything. You shouldn't look at yourself as a minority, because in the US, everyone is a minority technically, because everyone is coming from different parts of the world. Like I mentioned before, the US is a melting point, a melting pot of different people, different languages. So once you can see beyond that and think, oh, see beyond not being a minority, you can be able to achieve anything you want. So I would just say, stay focused and stay determined in whatever goals that you have, whatever ambitions that you have. It's definitely achievable as long as you're working hard to attain it. So I think that would be my comment for those who would like to study in the US.
Okay, thank you once again, Ms. June, for inspiring talk, and I would also like to thank all audiences for enthusiasm for this event. So our sessions was over, Ms. June, and thank you once again. And Mike, I pass it to.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, bye-bye. See you once again, I think.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Assalamualaikum.
For Apoteker Lalu Muhammad Irham, M.Pharm Ph.D. Thank you and see you in another time, Mr. Lalu. Okay. before that, I want to announce you something for all of our participants about the material. I apologize we couldn't share it to all of you with the speaker personal reason. So don't worry, but the record of this meeting will be shared on Himpunan Seminat YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel too, so all of you can have an update from us with the next event. And the second presence will be shared after break time. Move to the next speaker, we have another moderator. I will read CV from our next moderator. Okay. Our next moderator is Apoteker Nadia Saptarina S.Pharm M.Pharm, date of birth in March 29, 1991, domicile in Bandar Batang, Central Java, her education in Pondok Modern Darussalam Gontor Putri, Bachelor Farmasi, Faculty of Medicinal and Health Science Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta, Pharmacist Profession Program in Faculty of Pharmacy, Profesor Dr. Hamka University Jakarta, and Master of Clinical Pharmacy, Faculty of Pharmacy, Ahmad Dahlan University, Yogyakarta. Her work experiences and invited speaker in a lot of events. Her current activity is treasurer in Seminat Magister Farmasi Ahmad Dahlan University. Okay, we have Apoteker Nadia Saptarina S.Pharm M.Pharm here, and she will conduct us with our third speaker. Mrs. Nadia Saptarina, are you ready?
Hello, Kanin. Yes.
Okay, time and place is yours.
Okay, thank you. First and foremost, I would like to thank you to Kanindia as our master of ceremony in this occasion for arranging this webinar and giving me chance to become a moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Our keynote speaker will begin this series. Please have a nice virtual seat. Thank you very much for preparing yourself to join our webinar International. The Honorable Professor Dr. Dia Aryani, M.Sc, Ph.D, as Dean of Faculty of Pharmacist, University of Ahmad Dahlan. The Honorable Professor Dr. Apoteker Nur Hasana, M.Sc, as the Assessor of Kamada, Faculty of Pharmacist, University of Ahmad Dahlan. The Honorable Apoteker Adnan Magister Science as the Organization Division of Seminat Kamada Pharmacist of University of Ahmad Dahlan. The Honorable all lecturers of the Pharmacist Department and the Honorable all of participants in this international webinar. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nadia Saptarina, moderator of today's webinar International. I am very pleased to see you here and welcome all of you to this webinar. Today's webinar is about the challenges, opportunity, education for young pharmacists. Before we start, let me explain the rules for your information. Our discussion will be divided into two parts. The first session will be delivered by speaker 45 minutes, and then we have 15 minutes to Q&A. All the participants in the Zoom meeting have chance to ask one question to our speaker by typing in the chat room with the format name underscore the institution you are from underscore your question. You can type in Bahasa Indonesia if you have difficult in English, or you can type in English directly, and that's better. The question from chat room will be read by moderator. To edit speaker, so you don't have click raise hand or mute your Zoom to unmute your Zoom to ask by yourself to keep discussion conducive. And last, we really appreciate if you will give us feedback at the end of the session to our speakers. So without any further ado, now we are moving one of the one we have been waiting for. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of participants here just can't wait to hear stories and experience from our speaker who living many people's dreams. Okay, first I want call our speakers, Mr. Kevin.
Thank you, Nadia.
Yeah.
Hi, nice to meet
How
you
are
again. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, nice to meet you. Okay. For your presentation, let me introduce your curriculum vitae to our participants first. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move to start subject today. Our keynote speaker today is Apotheker Kevin Ben Laurence, registered pharmacist. He is a multilingual Asia-focused pharmacist and advisor managing business spanning several industries, with several interests in healthcare and pharmaceutical industries. Presently, he is working as an advisor for a leading Fortune Global 500 conglomerate and as a partner for the large health and medicine information company in Asia Pacific. Kevin is also holding leadership position in several international, regional, and local non-governmental organizations, contributing back to the society track improvements. Director, International Pharmaceutical Federation, Foundation for Education and Research, 2021 until 2023. Project Management Chairperson, ASEAN Young Pharmacist Group, 2021 until 2022. Head of Membership and Governing Council Member, Singapore Chamber of Commerce, Indonesia 2021 until 2022. He is the first pharmacist to be full accredited by the Ministry of Health Singapore or Singapore Pharmacy Council and Ministry of Health Indonesia or Indonesia Pharmacy Council. Kevin was recently covered with local heroes, worked by Indonesia Pharmacist Association and Indonesian Young Pharmacist Group. And now he will deliver a topic about the chances and opportunities of continuing education as non-traditional pharmacists.
Thank you very much, Nadia, for the kind introduction.
Okay, we know of you had working schedule. This is participant until 1,000 participants here during this session in Video Hustle and Bustle. Can I take applause?
Yeah.
Okay, to Mr. Kevin, the time 45 for delivered, and after that Q&A.
Great. Okay, thank you so much, Nadia. Hi, everyone. So my name is Kevin. Saya Kevin ya. So I'm actually an Indonesian, but I was based in Singapore for quite a long time. So I studied I was based in Singapore for 20 years or so. So all the way from 1998 till 2019. Yeah. So this is my background. As you can see, my background is actually, I'm a pharmacist, registered first in Singapore. And then after that, I did my PSPA or Profesi Apoteker in Indonesia, or Pharmacist Profession Program. That's in Universitas Pancasila. Just graduated last year and get my Indonesia license. Okay. So before we start, I'd just like to have some feedback and some Q&A with our friends here, because I'm actually quite non-traditional. So yeah, maybe you can answer some of this simple question. So we have a QS World University ranking. Maybe some of you have heard how they are ranking universities, and National University of Singapore, NUS, is actually ranked first in Asia. And maybe you have seen this glucometer. This glucometer is under Essential Diabetes Care or Panasonic Healthcare. It's under brand Contour. Or you may have seen this or heard of this hospital called Parkway Pantai. This is the 6-star hospital in Singapore. Or you have never heard of these 3 companies or so. You may have heard of this MRT Jakarta. Yeah, MRT Jakarta is actually the MRT system or rapid transport system that is actually bringing Indonesians across Jakarta. So the question is, what is common among all these companies or all these entities? A, they are famous. B, they are involved with a conglomerate. C, I'm not sure. So you can put the question, your answers in the chat box. I'll give us about 5 to 15 seconds. Okay, our crowd is rather quiet, I would say. Okay, haven't seen anything from the chat. Okay, maybe you are still a bit sleepy in the morning. Yeah, so I'll just go straight to the answer. The answer is, okay, we have one chat. Okay, yeah, they are famous. C, okay, yep. Actually, A and C is wrong. The answer is actually B. They are all involved with a conglomerate. So Mitsui & Co is a shareholder for this QS World University ranking and of this company, and they invested into MRT Jakarta, and they also have shares in this hospital group. So the thing is that Mitsui & Co is a Fortune Global 500 company. Okay, so maybe another two things, yeah. Maybe some of you in Indonesia have encountered Siloam Hospital. So, and maybe you've heard about this, Diari Bunda possibly, but maybe Siloam Hospital will be more notable. It's easier. Maybe you've heard about them. Yeah. So what is common between these two entities? Again, the answer is because they are actually involved with a conglomerate. Marubeni is a minority shareholder in Siloam and also a shareholder in this app. Yeah. So yeah. They acquired about 5%, Japan's Marubeni acquired about 5% stake in Siloam Hospital. Yeah, okay. So what's Fortune Global 500 company? Fortune Global 500 company is actually, this is Bahasa Indonesia, but they're basically 500 of the biggest companies in the world with an asset of 446 quadrillion. Okay, it's quite a big word. Yeah, but basically, you see, this is actually hundreds of million. This is 500 billion. Like Walmart is a US company, so they are the size about 500 billion. Like Toyota, the car that we know, is about 275 billion USD. That's their revenue. Where is Mitsui and where is Marubeni? They are only about 60, 70 billion USD revenue. Still about the hundreds range. While they are very big already, they are still bigger companies. Yeah. Okay. So this is my background. Okay. My background is actually slightly non-traditional. So I graduated from NUS in 2011, gotten my license in Guardian in 2012 and worked for a bit. Then I went on to become a medical sales and marketing member or staff in Servier. This is a French company. Before I joined an investment company, so Mitsui & Co. Okay, so Mitsui & Co. My team and I manage about 6 billion USD of assets, all of this, and one of my key investment is actually MIMS Pte Ltd. So me and my team invested about 100 million USD into this company. And then I was actually sent to this company as a shareholder representative and also a business manager in the management office. Yeah. Okay, that was my history when I was actually in Singapore. I returned to Indonesia and do a bit something different. So I'm actually supporting my family business in textile and agriculture. But at the same time, I'm also doing consulting. So I'm actually a partner at MIMS Pte Ltd. Maybe some of you may have heard about MIMS Pte Ltd. It's actually the largest or the biggest health and medicine information company in the whole of Asia Pacific. Yeah, and I'm also an advisor in Marubeni. Yeah, on top of that, I'm also doing I have already graduated from the Profesi Apoteker program, but right now I'm doing a master's program in Universitas Pancasila, which is actually supported and sponsored by Imperial College London and also UK National Institute for Health Research. I'm looking to do Executive Master of Business Administration in the future, but not at the moment because of COVID, so I can't travel. And these are my affiliations. I believe Nadia and the other UAD team have actually shared about my affiliation. I'm actually affiliated to, in Singapore, Pharmaceutical Society of Singapore and Medical Alumni Association, and I hold regional positions in Asian Young Pharmacists Group and also the International Pharmaceutical Federation Foundation for Education and Research. Yep. And then of course, I'm an EIE member, Ikatan Apoteker Indonesia. Yep. So in terms of my regional international role, actually I'm one of the 2 Asian in a direct board of directors of a lot of international people. So this is me. Yep. And I'm also a project management chairperson in Asian Young Pharmacists Group, and also I'm as a governing council of Singapore Chamber of Commerce, Indonesia. Okay, this is my background. First dual accredited pharmacist for Singapore and Indonesia. This is what I used to do in Singapore. This is the crazy me. Yeah, basically I do a lot of investment, do a lot of financial stuff, which most pharmacists may not be doing. Yeah, slightly non-traditional. Yeah, and then after that, in Mitsui & Co, we have a lot of free stuff from Under Armour. Reason being because at that point in time, Mitsui & Co actually invested into the distributor of Under Armour. Okay, so yeah, then I got to visit Japan. Go for an internship program about a couple of months, and then after that, yeah, took the Shinkansen, yeah, so visited some of the pharmaceutical API, raw material manufacturing plant, okay, and it was a good experience, okay, and this is Marubeni Corporation. I returned back to Indonesia and I started working for them, yeah, as a consultant advisor, and this is MIMS Private Limited. You may have seen it before. It is the biggest, more than 50 years of history, closing on to 60 actually, yeah, and they are present in the whole of Asia Pacific. Okay, it is having a it's having a drug interaction software, or we call it clinical decision support. So there's more than 20,000 healthcare facilities that are using it. So in Indonesia, we have Siloam, we have Pondok Indah, we have Mitra Keluarga, and many more who are actually our clients, okay, in MIMS, okay? So their partner can be like Ministry of Health of Malaysia, Ministry of Health of Singapore, and Ministry of Health of Korea, and so on, yeah? Okay, so MIMS is also doing the Singapore National Drug Formulary for Ministry of Health Singapore. That's the background. So this is me. I'm actually one of the management team in MIMS Indonesia. Yep. And these are some of my activities with Asian Young Pharmacists Group. We do a lot of events. We do a lot of educational talk. Yeah. And of course, I'm also very involved with the International Pharmaceutical Student Federation, or IPSF. We actually hosted WHO's Assistant Director General before. Yep. And of course, this is my activities in Singapore. I work closely with some of the ministers in Singapore. At that time, he was actually the Ministry of Ministry of Health, a minister in the Ministry of Health. Yeah, and this is a Minister for Education. Yeah, then this is actually Tun Mahathir Mohamad, Doctor. He's actually the Prime Minister of Malaysia back then. Yeah. But right now he's out, and this is actually the president for Singapore. Yep. So yeah, this is my pharmaceutical society activities. I do offline events before, I do online ones also, and this is me doing career sharing and sharing to the pharmacy juniors in NUS, and supporting Indonesian Young Pharmacists Group and also other universities, and also of course UAD as of today. Yeah. And of course, going over to Malaysia to do some talks and some judging, yeah. And of course, while I'm very deeply involved in the healthcare societies, I'm also very involved in the commercial side, commerce. Okay, so this is me. I'm actually the head of membership here. Yeah. Okay. And this is actually the His Honorable Anil Kumar is actually the ambassador of Singapore in Indonesia. Yeah. Okay. And I do a lot of public speaking, sharing, etc. I do talks in startup weekends and other workshops about businesses, yeah, and also about pharmacy and stuff. Yeah. Of course, I also do a lot of judging for hackathon events, yeah, startup weekend events, yeah, hackathon by ITB and by Malaysia, Malaysia Pharmaceutical Student Association, and etc. Yep. And of course, this one, the teams that I mentored actually emerge in key places. Like this one, they actually got the first position, and this one that was Atma Jaya. This is UI. My team in UI actually became number 2. Yeah, they earned number 2 position, and I also do a hackathon event in Singapore. My teams are actually among the top 9 finalists out of 45 teams, right? Okay, this is me over here, quite small. Yeah, so I do a lot of Founder Institute. I'm actually an official Bapak Rektor for Startup mentor, yeah, and Founder Institute mentor here. Okay, yeah, do a lot of mentoring, not just hackathon mentoring, but also, you know, kind of like career guidance kind of mentorship. This is by NUS. Yep. So other mentorship experience and awards and honor. Okay, sorry for taking so much time to talk. Yeah, but that's basically me. Yeah. So I'd like to share about the challenges and opportunities of continuing education as non-traditional pharmacists. So as you can see, I'm actually non-traditional in the sense that I actually came out from our typical pharmacy industry and jump into investment and jump into so many other things. Right, I'm actually, in that sense, I am all alone out here. Yeah, so actually that is one of the challenges. So, but we'll go a bit deeper. Yep. So what is the definition of non-traditional? So non-traditional, just by Cambridge dictionary, it basically means that it is different from what was considered usual or typical in the past. So yeah, that's non-traditional. But you know, the thing about non-traditional, is non-traditional good or non-traditional bad? No, it really depends on the person, right? For me, being non-traditional makes me, you know, allow me to pursue and to find out what I like, what I want to do. So that was very important for me. Okay, and yeah. So what are some of the traditional roles of pharmacists? So this is actually a Singapore traditional roles. So you can be in the manufacturing, you can be in the regulatory, you can do marketing, you can do hospital, community, research, academic, yeah? But is that all? No, actually, you can do many more things than that. A pharmacy degree is actually a very versatile degree. It allows you to be in healthcare industry, but yet explore many things that is within the healthcare industry, right? So there are 9 pharmacy jobs that, you know, existed, you know, but maybe you may not know about it. Okay, NASA Pharmacist. So NASA is the national, is the US entity that does a lot of space exploration. So there's a pharmacist there. There's pharmacy informaticist, yeah, informaticist. So it's involved with information, and that is actually very similar to the roles in MIMS. Some of my colleagues are actually pharmacists. They create very strong data to support the drug interaction software. So there's also industry pharmacies, veterinarian, okay, nuclear is available in Indonesia, yeah, genomics, about the genetics, poison center pharmacists, public health service pharmacists, yeah, we're about the public health and supporting people. A pharmacovigilance pharmacy, you know, making sure that the drug treatment is actually well monitored, okay? And of course, not forgetting, there's an entrepreneurial pharmacist. This is where I'm coming from. I'm involved with business, finance, management, investment, and operations, okay? Yep, okay? So as you can see, business part is this. These are actually the business part, all right? Yeah. And of course, there's also the finance part and the consulting and etc. Yeah, but basically, as you can see, I hope, you know, I'm able to make a clearer picture, a clearer connection right now between what I do and being a non-traditional pharmacist. Okay, yeah. So as you can see, Mitsui & Co., this is a lot into the business part, yeah, into the investment, etc. Marubeni, of course, yeah, and MIMS, yeah. But then again, those are actually my sort of achievement. But did I get there easily? Frankly, no. It took me more than 10 years to be able to achieve this. You know, it's a lot of hard work being a non-traditional pharmacist, because there is actually so many things that I don't know. Yeah. So right now I focus with the challenges first. Okay. There is a lot of societal and internal challenges. So, you know, typically, you know, there's always a perceived notion, oh, if you graduate with a pharmacy degree, you get your pharmacist license, you are supposed to do what you're supposed to do in the pharmacist industry, being a pharmacist, yeah? And those career choices are significantly influenced by our tradition and the way that we are socializing. You know, in Indonesia, you just do it. In Singapore, there is a huge expectation, even by the chief pharmacist or the you know, the Singapore Pharmacy Council's president back then, or the chief pharmacist, that for pharmacists to be focusing being a pharmacist. But you know, is that really what I want? That may not be what I want. So in reality, right, few jobs have the requirements that effectively limit employment to only one area of practice. So even though there is a lot of, you know, that, you know, you got a degree, you get a job, you know, it can open up many things to you. So like working in a community pharmacy, you can you can explore being a pharmacist, but you can also explore being a business person, how you sell, how you manage stock and stuff like that. So frankly speaking, whatever that we do will be exposed to many things. And for me, while there is actually a lot of you know, pressure, there is a lot of you know, perceived notion or you know, how the society treats you of you know, requesting you to be a pharmacist, I decided to explore a lot more, right? So which is where I come into the business world. Okay, so and of course, I mentioned earlier, there's lack of career mentors, sense of isolation in the workplace. So I'm actually a healthcare professional by training, but the people around me are actually business people. They don't have healthcare background. So actually there's a lot of things that's not common. But as a matter of fact, lacking career mentors can be quite challenging because I have to create my own path. Yeah, but at the same time, it also allows me to explore many things, to venture into the unknown. And sometimes there could be negative feelings from co-workers. Co-workers may believe that, you know, if let's say you don't do well, you know, it's because you are a healthcare professional, you don't know business, you don't know what. So in extreme cases, this negative feeling can actually lead to discrimination. Like they will say that, oh, you don't know what even though you're a healthcare professional, you don't know the business. You know, business is about money and stuff like that, about earning money. And of course, last but not least, when I first ventured into the business area, there's actually a lack of support from family and friends. They say, you know, going to business side, you know, it can be quite challenging and it can be quite it can be quite unknown. You know, why do you want to take the risk of becoming a pharmacist, doing something that you know is actually good? You know, why not? Why you know, just do what you're supposed to do. Yeah, that is something that we get. Yeah, but of course, the best thing that you can do is to show them your commitment and being successful in your non-traditional role. You know, you can be non-traditional pharmacist. You can do whatever you want with a pharmacy degree. You know, the future is in your control. Okay, and of course, there's a lot of opportunities as non-traditional pharmacists. So I get job satisfaction, really job satisfaction, because I'm able to allow businesses improve the healthcare system. I do investment, I do what, and all of these companies that I invest to ended up creating good benefit to the society, like MIMS, better drug information, etc. And of course, okay, not forgetting high salaries and better benefits. Yeah, non-traditional roles often give higher salaries than traditional roles because being unique and being a pharmacist in the business world, actually, while it is challenging, but at the same time, it is something that sets me apart, make me different from my colleagues. You know, they are just healthcare professional, they are just business background or other background, but I'm a healthcare professional with a business background. Yeah. And of course, there's also better advancement and opportunities because you can climb, because being special. And of course, it allows you a greater variety of opportunities. And of course, last but not least, if you are being successful, you set the standard. Yeah, you set how society view being a non-traditional pharmacist, right? Yeah. So while there's a lot of challenges, at the same time, the opportunities are so great. Normally what I do, I focus on the opportunities, okay? Focus on the opportunities, okay? Yep, and you know, when you have limited, you know, sometimes in life, you are not sure whether you want to do the traditional or non-traditional role, yeah? But when you have eliminated the impossible is something that maybe you don't like, yeah? If let's say you don't like being a non-traditional, eliminate non-traditional, you know? If you don't like traditional, then eliminate traditional. But what's most important is that whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth, okay? Whatever remains, the choices of career that you may have left after you eliminated the ones that you don't like, will be something that you will like, most likely, at the very least, okay? Yeah. And you know, life is a process of homeostasis. It's a lot about feedback mechanism. There's no failure, only feedback. You know, we have learned about this homeostasis in our in the biology classes. You know, sometimes, you know, the body temperature decrease, so we shiver, and the body temperature increase. So sometimes life is like that. Life is always giving you feedback, and the feedback is something that is used, or you can use, to improve, continually improve yourself. So sometimes, you know, my feedback is, oh, Kevin, you're not good in finance and stuff like that. So Kevin started learning, and then he becomes better at finance or at businesses, etc. Yeah, and you know, feedback is a very important thing. Yeah, our masukan, we call it in Indonesia. Feedback is actually the breakfast for champions. If you take in a lot of feedback, you process it, and you use it to improve yourself, you can be champion. Okay, okay. And there's no such thing as right or wrong, only consequences to action. You know, being a traditional pharmacist or non-traditional, is there a right and wrong path? No, there is no. It's up to you. You know, if you choose something, then there is definitely consequences. Like if you choose non-traditional, knowing that you have no background in non-traditional related stuff, then the consequences is that you have to learn many things. Of course, if let's say you choose a traditional role, you know, it is something you're familiar with. The consequences is you get better at it, or you can understand quickly, you can adapt quickly, right? But for me, you know, I have a lot of, I took quite a lot of time to actually get myself into adapt myself into the non-traditional role. Yeah, a couple of years at least. Yeah, and if you can see this picture here, you know, this picture is about ballerina standing up. Okay, ballerina is she stands up beautifully, but what's actually behind this? A lot of hard work, a lot of pain. You know, she is able to stand up here by training. So I am able to get to where I am as a non-traditional pharmacist with a lot of hard work, and that hard work is actually something that really put in over the years. Yeah. So if you know you want to pursue the non-traditional path, you have to be ready for the consequences where you really need to work hard. Yeah. And this is I have a few parting words, you know, for everyone here. So if it is something important to you, if it is important to you, you will find a way. If not, you find an excuse. You know, you may be considering a lot of path, you know, and if it's important to you, you definitely find a way. Yeah, otherwise you find an excuse. Okay, and another parting words from Thomas Jefferson: if you want something you have never had, you must be willing to do something you have never done. Yeah. So if you keep doing the same thing and hoping for a different result, if you want to be rich, yeah, for example, you want to be rich, then if you keep doing a job that pays you a fixed income, then you'll never ever be rich, right? Okay, you'll never be financially, you know, very well off. Yeah. So you have to do something different. You have to do business, etc., something that increase your income capacity. And last but not least, you are in control of your future. Yeah, you're in control of your future. So you can create something for yourself. You know, be it, you know, as a pharmacist, challenges, you know, you have traditional and non-traditional path, you know, you can create, you can control everything, and you can actually achieve what you want. Yep. And that's it. You may contact me via LinkedIn if you want me. You can drop me a message. Yeah, we can have a chat, etc. And that's it for my side. Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Apoteker Kevin, for giving us such informative and interesting presentation. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now come to the question and answer session. I won't read the question for our speakers. How's the important of continuing education?
Okay.
Yeah.
The importance of continuing education. So in the non-traditional path, the continuing education is not about pharmacy sometimes. It's about finance business. Yeah. So I have to keep myself updated. Yeah. And the issue is that a lot of these things are actually not basic. So when I first started my continuing education for this non-traditional path, sometimes I have to find those information by myself. Yeah, something that suited my level of understanding, because I'm still a basic. You know, I still don't know about the business world, etc., economics. But over time, I get a hang of it. But basically, then again, I still have to learn a lot of new things. But it is something that I really like and I really enjoy. Hence, I have no complaint. I hope that answered the question, Nadia.
Oke, izin pakai bahasa Indonesia ya?
Iya, sure. Boleh,
ya.
Nadia. Ya.
Mau tanya, seberapa penting gitu, kita dari mahasiswa farmasi atau apoteker untuk bisa mengikuti organisasi internasional ini gitu.
Oh, oke. Ya. Jawabnya bahasa Indonesia aja ya.
Ya.
Boleh. Oke. Ya, Nadia. Jadi kalau kita aktif di organisasi internasional itu tuh penting sekali, karena gimana ya? Jujur aja, seperti slide terakhir tadi slide saya yang terakhir itu, you are in control of your future. Kalau kita mau membuat membuat profesi kita lebih baik, lebih mencakup ya, lebih terkenal, lebih mencakup, bisa membantu orang, kita juga harus membuat branding yang bagus. Jadi oleh karena itu saya ikut International Society, regional dan lain-lain, itu untuk membantu biar profesi kita naik. Dan saya juga ingin teman-teman saya mahasiswa farmasi juga tahu bahwa fungsi seorang farmasis itu banyak sekali, seorang apoteker. Ya, kita asal kita mau saja untuk mendalami.
Ya, fokus berarti ya.
Iya.
Tinggal mau ambil bidang mana nih gitu. Kita mau jadi pakar di mana.
Iya. Itu kan tadi kan kita ada diskusi bahwa ya kadang-kadang kita nggak tahu ya. Kita sukanya apa gitu. Tapi kita pelan-pelan akan bisa mendalami. Kita eliminasi dulu aja yang kita tidak suka, dan kita mendapatkan apa yang kita mau, begitu.
Oke. The third question.
Okay.
Mr. Kevin, you are his first pharmacist, which is recognized by pharmacists in Singapore. Ya. Apa sih syaratnya biar dapat ikut registered pharmacist di Singapura?
Oh iya, itu bisa cek di Singapore Pharmacy Council punya website. Dia ada beberapa detail gitu, jadi bisa mengikuti aja dia punya programnya gitu. Yang pertama berarti universitasnya harus diakreditasi oleh Kemenkes Singapura atau Singapore Pharmacy Council dulu. Ya.
Boleh tanya nggak? Maksudnya kan dulu farmasis di Singapura, terus yang menjadi perbedaan dalam kuliah di dua negara ini bagaimana?
Kalau di apoteker benar-benar bisa melakukan industri lebih banyak karena mereka masuk ke manufacturing juga ya. Ada regulasi di mana apoteker diperlukan di sebagai apoteker diperlukan di industri, iya di industri farmasi. Oh, di sini kan kita kalau penanggung jawabnya APJ-nya apoteker penanggung jawab harus di industri minimal harus ada 3, iya. Dan itu semuanya harus apoteker. Kalau di Singapura tidak ada regulasi seperti itu. Jadi oleh karena itu mereka posisi apoteker di Singapura di industrinya tuh masuk cuma untuk regulatory, pharmacovigilance dan lain-lain ya. Tapi oleh karena mereka fokusnya di klinis, apoteker klinis di Singapura sudah mencapai tingkat sangat tinggi di mana mereka juga kalau sudah melakukan spesialisasi seperti senior saya dia kardio ya, apoteker kardio, dia sudah bisa menulis resep seperti dokter.
Iya benar. Di luar negeri ada ya spesialisasi khusus
apoteker. Iya, dan apotekernya bisa tulis resep, memberikan obat, menulis resep seperti dokter gitu.
Oke. Ini ada lagi yang tanya sama siang Mr. Apoteker Kevin dari Novi. Yang bertanya bagaimana cara kita bisa bergabung di Asian Young Pharmacist dan persiapan atau langkah seorang farmasis menghadapi industri 4.0.
Ya, oke. Jadi untuk bergabung dengan Asian Young Pharmacist Group, kami biasa ada membuka untuk subcommittee, itu tinggal apply aja. Apabila tidak, boleh mulai aktif di Indonesian Young Pharmacist Group, IYPG, nanti akan dibuat jalan gitu, supaya member IYPG juga aktif di AYPG. Ya. Oke, terus selanjutnya persiapan atau langkah seorang yang farmasis menghadapi industri 4.0. Industri mah dari dulu mah udah berubah-ubah terus ya. Jadi 4.0, 2.0 apa itu cuma satu branding aja, satu nama aja. Ada satu kata-kata penting ya. The only constant in life is change. Jadi satu konstan yang selalu ada di kehidupan kita ada perubahan. Karena selalu berubah ya. Jadi langkah-langkah yang kita harus setiap saat ya, langkah-langkah yang harus kita persiapkan adalah kita harus mempersiapkan mental dulu dan kita juga harus mempersiapkan mental kita supaya bisa beradaptasi ya. Kalau kita tidak beradaptasi, tidak berubah, itu kita akan terbuang, ketinggalan zaman gitu ya. Jadi 4.0 industri 4.0 dari dulu udah ada lah semua. Karena industri selalu berbeda. Kan dulu kalau zaman-zaman dulu kita apa? Kita pakai BBM, kita pakai apa? Sekarang semuanya udah pakai WhatsApp, pakai apa? Iya gitu. Itu industri. Jadi industri selalu berubah. Jadi jangan karena ada kata-kata 4.0 atau apa, itu mah semuanya cuma cuma satu ya kata-kata aja. Waktu selalu berubah, waktu selalu membuat kita kita harus berubah. Jadi kita kalau kita mau sukses kita harus tetap beradaptasi, begitu aja.
Oke, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Maybe enough for the question.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we finally come to the end of this webinar. Before I close the third speaker, I would like to take the conclusion from what the speaker has presented. Historical pharmacy has played a special role.
Ada satu pertanyaan ya, ada satu pertanyaan dari Anissa.
Okay.
Tadi di mana apoteker bisa nulis resep? Itu di Singapura ya, itu diperbolehkan. Itu konsepnya panggilnya collaborative prescribing. Jadi ada apoteker, ada suster yang sudah senior. Karena kan kalau kita harus cari-cari dokter tulis resep kan, itu kan agak pusing gitu ya. Jadi di Singapura karena mereka HRD-nya, SDM-nya kurang. Jadi memang dia memberdayakan si apoteker dan si para suster-suster yang senior untuk bisa mengganti resep sebila perlunya gitu. Seperlunya.
Berarti undang-undangnya ini ya khusus gitu ya. So, kalau di Indonesia kan resep adalah yang ditulis oleh dokter.
Benar.
Gitu. Kalau misalnya di Singapura ada resep adalah
apa? Di Singapura gimana?
Ya maksudnya kalau di sini kan resep
ditulis oleh tenaga kesehatan gitu. Tapi tenaga kesehatannya nanti misalkan
ya,
mereka ganti undang-undangnya lah. Negaranya lebih kecil jadi mereka mau berubah undang-undang lebih mudah. Ya, tapi itu bagusnya karena mereka beradaptasi gitu.
Betul, mengikuti zaman lebih mudah ya.
Benar.
Praktis.
Kalau di Singapura rata-rata kalau rumah sakit umum sudah tidak begitu banyak apoteker yang packing obat aja, semuanya udah pakai mesin.
Robot juga
Robot, benar. Saya pernah di beberapa event gitu, saya sharing ya, anak-anak Farmasi juga kaget gitu. Oh, di Singapura gitu maju. Iya, di luar maju. Karena kita SDM kita kan di sini mungkin masih murah gitu ya. Nah, kalau mesin mahal. Tapi ujung-ujungnya mereka kan Singapura harus beradaptasi karena negaranya terlalu kecil, kurang SDM sekali. Kayak sekarang zaman COVID gini mereka tuh burn out banget ya. Kayak udah capek banget mentalnya.
Benar. Jadi mau nggak mau ya suka nggak suka semuanya dipegang gitu biar semuanya bisa
ya
maju.
Kita jangan bilang suka atau nggak suka, kita ngelihat aja positifnya. Kalau kita bisa melewati rintangan itu kita akan belajar, kita level up gitu. Ya kayak kita main game kan, kalau main game ada yang main apa gitu, kita kan level up. Nah itulah
naik terus.
Iya begitu.
Keren.
Mentalnya aja gitu ya. Kalau yang kita lakukan di game kita terapkan di hidup kita, itu kita selalu bisa level up. Kenapa? Kevin sudah dapat satu izin di Singapura tapi mau dapat izin lagi di Indonesia. Ya saya mau level up juga lah gitulah, ya kan?
Iya benar, setuju. Biar jadi emas ya, bukan hanya emas. Jadi unggulan bangsa dan negara juga.
Ya, amin.
Amin. Ini saya lanjut ya. Untuk ambil ke question-nya, tadi yang pertama, penting juga untuk kita untuk berorganisasi karena dari sana kita mendapat relasi ya. Terus, even in modern times, they change the role of the pharmacist in healthcare delivery system and can be seen from a business standpoint. Terus, so change in communities pharmacists, yang positif. So evolution of the profession is one. The first is community pharmacy, self-care and self-medication, primary care, drug information, practice pharmacies, academic pharmacies, managed care pharmacies, health education, association pharmacies, and the other parts. So the last as a collaborator. It is imperative that pharmacists deliver quality collaborative relation with other healthcare professional, national professional association, challenges, and for pharmacists, the pharmaceutical industries, government, local, national, international, patient, and the general public. Okay. I'd like to thank the speaker for the informative and interesting presentation and all the participants for the very active. Finally, give big applause for the speaker.
Thank you, Nadia.
Yeah, and thank you for all. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Nadia. I'm as moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, back to MC.
Okay, thank you for your time, Mr. Kevin and moderator Mrs. Nadia, for the incredible time in third section. For correction my word before, all of participants would have the material from our speakers and that will be shared in your personal email. But I hope all of you will wait patiently and don't spamming our contact person because we are kindly delivered it with caution and make sure it delivered in all of your completely. And our second presents, we are going to share it after breaking time. Now, we will take a break for 90 minutes and start the event again in 1 p.m. o'clock. Hope all of you can enjoy this noon with us. Thank you, everyone.
Indonesia memiliki peluang untuk menjadi negara penghasil obat itu membutuhkan
Fakultas Ahmad Dahlan diwai oleh nilai-nilai Islam. Dalam mencapai visinya, Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Ahmad Dahlan melaksanakan kegiatan Tridharma perguruan tinggi yang meliputi pengembangan jejaring baik di tingkat nasional maupun internasional.
Sumber daya manusia yang unggul, terukur, dan terbuka dengan pendidik yang
Program studi Farmasi S2 Universitas Ahmad Dahlan mempunyai visi menghasilkan Magister Sains berdaya saing global dalam bidang farmasi klinis maupun bahan alam yang bermoral keislaman. Kami memiliki 2 bidang dosen tamu dengan kualifikasi guru besar dari beberapa
senantiasa berupaya untuk meningkatkan kompetensi dosen maupun tenaga kependidikan dengan memberikan kesempatan melalui berbagai cara seperti workshop, pengembangan pengajaran, maupun penelitian, serta pengabdian kepada makalah, diktat, handout, buku, jurnal internasional maupun jurnal nasional, jurnal terakreditasi, karya ilmiah yang dipublikasikan melalui proceeding, seminar baik nasional maupun serta artikel yang telah dipublikasikan melalui media cetak maupun media massa. Itu, program studi farmasi S2 UAD juga mengalami perkembangan yang sangat menonjol sebagai One Healing, teh herbal, serta teh sirsak yang sudah dipasarkan sebagai produk yang terdaftar. Program studi farmasi S2 memberikan kesempatan mahasiswa